long time.
I mean, honestly, if I'm ever going to light a fire, yeah, I just use a Zippo lighter or something like that. You know, we have technology. We're not ooga booga rubbing two sticks together.
Yeah, well, when World War III happens and there's an EMP that takes out all the electronics in the world, you're going to wish you knew how to start a fire.
Mike, World War III is happening right now. So with that being said, I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble and buy some survival guidebooks.
I'm going to go buy some more candles. And watch, and you'll go buy like the Yankee candles. And don't worry, Megan, we're fine now. I have plenty of candles for us.
In the tier list of things that you wouldn't like think to grab right away if there was like a post-apocalypse, like you'd probably want candles because I assume, you know, when you live in some sort of house for a long time or whatever, a bunker at that point, you're going to need some nice, pleasant scents in there because God knows it's only going to take a matter of minutes, especially with me, that bunker is going to start smelling bad. I'll throw myself right under the bus. I'm a smelly guy.
Well, good thing I can't smell from over here. I mean, I'm told there's the technology that lets me smell.
By 2022, guys, we're going to have the smell cast ready to go. I apologize to everyone in advance. I will have plenty of candles ready for the time being. I'm a good cook. I'll have some baked goods here. I'll have some fresh chocolate chip cookies. I'll have some banana bread, you know.
Okay. I am okay smelling those.
You'll only get about 50% of the bad smells.
It'd be like you can flip a coin. All right, Mike, let's see what we're getting. Oh, look at you. You're getting the banana bread smell. And then, like, the next time, oh, sorry, you're getting the dirty fish. Or just armpit smell.
It's
whatever Corey makes me smell.
It's nice that, you know, you work the podcast title out in the first, like, 5 minutes of the episode. Or 2 minutes, excuse me.
Oh, great. So we chose it already?
All right. So, you know, before we begin the podcast proper, I have a few things I'd like to talk about. Really only two. So first of all, I mean, I feel like this happens like every other week, but I'm still going to do my normal bit here and say I do apologize for all the loyal Level With Me podcast viewers and listeners, whatever. I have been still lazy. And yet there is very little content in my ends. But I actually had like a bit of a kind of depressed mood week. And when I'm depressed, it's very hard for me to, you know, be proactive in content creating or even wanting to like, you know, stream on Twitch. So I do apologize. I am pretty much coming up around that and feeling better now. But, I mean, that's kind of my excuse. Also, I have an idea for what I wanted to do. I forget if I talked about this on the podcast last week. I think I did, but I lost a big chunk of The Last of Us Part 2 gameplay, and I do know what I'm going to do to, like, kind of compensate for what was lost there, but I just need some extra time. And this is just the same battle I always have with my brain, but this is kind of advice for anyone listening too. Maybe this will help you. I always end up like there's a lot of baggage around me where it's like, okay, I got to do this thing. I got to do that thing. I got to do this thing. And like, I just think it's going to like ruin my whole day and take up like all the time. And I'm going to be like, well, now I have nothing left to do. So I end up just usually pushing it off. And these are just small things like around my apartment and even just content creation. You know, I'm like, oh, it's going to take me like 3 hours to edit that one video, or it's going to take me, when in reality, my point of all this stuff is that you just got to go with good old Shia LaBeouf and just do it, man. Just do the thing. Don't let it hold you back. Don't think it's going to take your whole day, because literally right before this, we had a bunch of like dishes we had to get done, and I'm like, I got a little bit of time left, and my girlfriend did the dishes last time. We usually bounce back and forth between like the house responsibilities or whatever. So I'm like, you know what? I'll get some dishes done before I get to the podcast. And I didn't get all the dishes done, but I'd say I knocked out a fair amount of them. And I was like, I only did this for like a half an hour. Like, if I just took like an hour out of my day on one of my days off, it's like I could have just got them all done. And it would have been like, wow, look, I accomplished that thing. Now they're done. Now I can go goof off or whatever I was doing. I don't know. But that's kind of my moral advice. And my advice to myself is, hey,
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf said it best. Just do it. So there's my apology. I hope you all forgive me. There will be videos soon. I mean, we kind of say that every week. And then other than that, I just wanted to say, honestly, I didn't really have an eventful week either. Once we get to like what I've been playing and what I've been watching, I didn't really get around to too much. But me and my girlfriend did take a small trip over the weekend to Hershey, Pennsylvania, one of our very familiar stomping ground areas. We usually will go there. Well, we normally honestly would go there probably once a month when the world wasn't on fire. But now we've been taking our time going there. We went there like a few months ago just to see how they're doing the... I actually have a special present here. My girlfriend just brought me dinner. Don't worry, I will eat this in moderation and mute my mic so there's no horrible ASMR chewing noises.
No, Corey. I was hoping for the chewing sounds, as we heard the chewing sounds last time from your gum.
The candy review. Well, that episode was lost. No one ever heard the mouth.
Yeah,
noises,
yes, but you did imitate it. So
sure.
Yes. So I think the fans would really appreciate it if we can get the fullness of you eating your dinner.
Well, it's a little hot. Maybe in a few minutes from now.
I'll wait.
But yeah, we usually venture like Hershey pretty frequently, at least once a month. There's a lot of good like food around there. Go figure. It's the sweetest place on earth. They got, good treats, good like dining spots. So yeah, I don't really have much to say about that. We had a good time. We went there, got some candy. We got some good breakfast. I forget what the name of the spot was. Luckily my girlfriend's here. Do you remember? The First Watch. It was delicious. I got a great breakfast burrito. I got to post that up on the gram. I got that in
I do enjoy a good breakfast burrito.
It was delicious. And I was craving a burrito. Like, I was also, like, about to order some DoorDash over the weekend. And I'm like, I really want to get this burrito. But god damn, these DoorDash prices are kind of expensive. So I held off. And it's like, oh, now I can satiate this burrito craving with this breakfast place we're at. And bada bing, bada boom. They were both fantastic. It was great. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to talk about that Hershey trip. I don't think so. Yeah, no, we had a good time. That was pretty much my activities outside of the apartment for the weekend. Did you do anything fun this week, Mike? Or do you have anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Before we get into the main part of the podcast, this weekend, I kind of went on like my first little vacation and this year since the whole virus thing. So it was definitely much needed. Amanda and I didn't really get a chance to go to the beach last year, and mainly that's because we had a lot of plans going on for like the engagement. We had like our engagement party, and we were really trying to save up some money for the house, and so we really didn't we weren't planning on going anywhere crazy, but we were trying to maybe do like a beach trip or something, and it just sadly never happened. But luckily, this weekend we planned a beach trip with Amanda's girlfriends. Like we all wanted to do a trip down to Wildwood, which is awesome because I love Wildwood. I haven't been there in so long, so I was really looking forward to going. And we scheduled a boat trip actually. So we were gonna go rent 2 boats. I think like pontoon style boats, and kind of just go out in the middle of the I think of the bay, not the actual ocean, but like the middle of the bay near Wildwood, New Jersey, and just kind of go out there with some drinks and just
get a
hang
rum
out.
Ham,
Oh my god! Well, that was going to be the secret. I was going to surprise everyone with rum ham. And but yeah, but unfortunately, this weekend was a complete wash because not the whole weekend, but Saturday was a wash because we knew it was going to rain, and as we got closer and closer to the beach day, we knew, oh my gosh, the forecast says it's going to rain. Like what are the odds that it has to rain on beach day? And we were planning on going going over Saturday morning and then leaving like Sunday evening, so that way we can have boat day on Saturday and then beach day on Sunday. And of course, when we left Saturday morning, it was like a downpour, kind of like as if we were just driving through like torrential rain. It was actually kind of dangerous and scary. You know, there was really poor visibility. But
possibly could have been from that the tropical storm Laura or Hurricane Laura, whatever that was. I don't know.
That's what people were saying. Wait, is that one of the ones that's down in the Gulf? Because someone told me about that, and I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure the Gulf hurricanes wouldn't affect us unless is Laura like another one that was not in the Gulf of Mexico?
So Laura was weird, where it kind of came up from Louisiana and almost like did a kind of 90-degree turn towards the East Coast. So it went like through Louisiana and then through like the Midwest or whatever, like the middle areas of the United States, kind of leading off to the East Coast. I think, though, a lot of Pennsylvania and New Jersey didn't really get hit. I think it was on the East Coast, mainly Washington, D.C., but it's possible because we got some bad winds, you know, in my area, and it has been off and on raining, but I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Gotcha. Well, maybe that'd be the case, because it was pretty bad, but, you know, it cleared up by the time we got down to Wildwood, which is pretty nice.
That's good, at least.
Yeah, because then we're thinking, oh, cool, the storm's passing. Maybe we drove through the worst of it, and now we can go on the boat trip. And then, like, a half an hour before our appointment, or our, you know, scheduled departure, I guess, at 12 o'clock noon, they sent us, like, a text message to one of Amanda's friends, who I think was the one that organized it, and they said that they had to cancel for, like, for safety purposes. Like, you know, like, they can't risk taking people out on the boat. And I think all the other boats were canceled except for ours. I think they were kind of just waiting for us to call and cancel it, but then like a half an hour up until noon, they said, yeah, like for safety reasons and for insurance reasons, we can't take you guys out. So they gave us a full refund, which is okay, but, you know, it was just a bummer because we were so looking forward to going on the boat.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate. Sorry to hear that.
You know, I guess it could have been worse. I mean, you know, so we made the most of it. We kind of just said, all right, then we'll just go to one of Amanda's friends who has a beach house down there. You know, her family does.
There you go.
Yeah, so that was that was lucky of us, and you know, it was still a great time. So we took all of our snacks, all of our drinks, and we just went over to the to her shore house, and, you know, just all of her friends met up there. And then, like, a lot of them brought like their boyfriends that I'm friendly with, and we were all just hanging out and having a good little time. It reminded me of the old days, like high school and college, when, like, in the summertime we'd rent to shore houses. It was great, and definitely some funny stories. I definitely want to talk about one of the characters that showed up, because it was kind of shocking with some of the things that were coming out of his mouth. So I'll get to that in a little bit. But anyway, so that was Saturday. We kind of just all hung out, and then around like 6 o'clock ish, I would say, we went to our Airbnb to, like, unpack and get changed, because at nighttime we were going to plan to go out and go bar hopping anyway. So we said, all right, cool, we all hung out, but now let's go bar hopping. So then around like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, we were all ready to go over to what was the name of the place? Yeah, I gotta look it up. There's one place they were known for their special drinks. I think it was actually a really weird name, like the Nutty something. Let me see. Oh, here we go. It's called Super Tully Nut. So for anybody who's a fan of Wildwood, like, if you guys know Super Tully Nut, it's like a little bar that has like an outside area, and that's where we sat down and we had a Tully Nut, which is what their famous drink was. And to be fair, I don't even remember what they said it was supposed to taste like, but to me, it just tasted like watered down Gatorade. Like, to be fair, I didn't taste the alcohol, so I was like, oh wow, this actually is a pretty smooth drink. But it wasn't, like, flavorful. It just tasted like watered down Gatorade. At least to me, it did. So I didn't order a second one. I said there was like really no point. But that was our first stop, and then we went over to Keenan's, which is like a really, you know, big popular place in Wildwood, and that was okay. But you know, I think just because of, like, the COVID restrictions, they weren't, like, allowing as many people in as usual. You were not allowed to stand. You had to be sitting at all times. Yep. So if you didn't find a seat, it's like, okay, then you had to go, like, outside and then come in to find a seat. Like, so I mean, luckily we got a table very quickly. So that was fortunate of us. But then they started, like, forcing, like, well, I think some of the people that started sitting next to us were, like, friends of friends, and they were just kind of, like, sitting down because they needed a place to sit. Like, oh, like they know like they know one of the friends of Amanda's friends, so then they kind of like said, "Oh, I know you," and then they just started sitting down. Like before I knew it, I had like 4 people next to me that I had no idea who they are. I'm like, "Oh, like I'm like Kai, who do you know?" And like, "Oh, do you know so and so?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I don't." "Oh, well, they know Allison," and Allison's a friend of Amanda. I'm like, "Okay, then I don't know you." It's like you're just that friend of a friend that I really just don't care about. I was trying. I mean, I was being polite, but then they clearly didn't want to talk to me. They just wanted to sit down and have a seat, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So, we kind of just. I think we left around like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I mean, we all had a good time. We all had some drinks, had some laughs, told some stories, and then we all headed home. And then Sunday was the beach day.
Then the real fun happened.
Then the Mario Kart happened at night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What were you thinking, listeners? Anyway, and so then Sunday we all kind of regrouped and then went to the beach. And luckily, it was a amazing sunny day yesterday on Sunday. So it actually made the beach trip really nice. We went in the water for a little bit. Then we all kind of just hung out and just bathed in the sun. We just wanted to warm up, and it was very nice. And then we drove home. But no, here's the funny part about this weekend. So there was a character that we met. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I ever met him, and I'm not going to give any names because I mean, like, no one knows who he is. But basically, he was one of Amanda's friends' boyfriends, and
can you give him a nickname? Can we call him like Ralph or something?
Nah, let's call him. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll call him Ralph. I think that's a good name because he wrecked the party. So
good old Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph wrecked because he. So here's the thing. So I met the guy, and I could just tell he seemed like he was just very like quiet at first. But I'm like, oh, I'm just very friendly. So I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Because I'm pretty sure this is the first time I met him, and he wasn't really well spoken. I guess he just didn't really have a lot to say. A man of what's that expression? Like a man of short words, or not a man of few words. That's the expression. There we go. And but as we started getting, we all started drinking some more. He got a little bit more I guess just more friendly and was talking more. And but that's when I realized that the guy really didn't have a lot to say. He was kind of just like saying like weird things, and I think I kind of started picking up really quickly that like I think this guy is just going to be trying too hard to make friends.
Ooh.
Which you shouldn't have to do. Like we're all like because basically the girls are all friends and we're all the boyfriends.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's like all you gotta do is just and then the Flyers game the Flyers game was on. I'm like, well, just come over here and sit down with us and just shoot the shit and we'll watch the Flyers. And eventually he did, but then he said weird things. And so this is actually one of the weird. I'm not gonna say some of the things because I'm worried we'll get this video taken down off YouTube, but I will say this.
Okay.
But I will say this. He was saying how he was a former Marine, and I was like, oh, okay. And but then as he was telling me these weird stories, I'm like, oh, I mean, I guess I have to believe you. But I'm thinking, I don't know. Do Marines talk like this? Because I met Marines, and like there could be like the cocky Marines who are like, oh yeah, I was in the Marines and I did this, and I can I can break like rocks with my bare hands. I don't know but the point is, this guy was saying like really weird things to make it seem like are you sure you're in the Marines? Because it sounds more like you were just that crazy guy that you always find at parties. Because he was basically, to sum it all up, this is probably the best thing he said, and I couldn't believe it. I actually didn't even hear him say this. I had to hear it from the other guys because like no one could believe he said this.
What did Ralph say this time?
Ralph, oh, good old Ralph, you won't believe it. So I guess again, in an attempt to sound cool, I did hear this first half. I didn't hear the second half. He said, "Yeah, man, I drank like 18 beers before I came over here." I think that's when I kind of like walked away to be like, "All right, yeah, sure." All right, man, cool story. But then Amanda's friend Georgianne and like a couple of the other like the boyfriends were sitting on the couch, and he apparently I walked away right when he said this. He followed up by saying, "Yeah, 18 beers, but I started it off with my mother's breast milk." Yeah. And then when they told me this, I said, he didn't say that, and they're like, no, Mike, he said it to us with a straight face, and we all just like the one guy he had like a baseball cap on. He just put the baseball cap, like he pulled it down over his face because he didn't want the guy to see the face he was making. Where it's like, dude, what did you just say? Like are you like insane? Have you ever heard anything like that before? I'm not even sure if that was supposed to mean something. I think he was just like incoherent. Like maybe he really did have 18 beers and he was just that hammered that he said something like that.
I mean, I don't know about you, but 18 beers is like just getting the party started. I mean, I completely get where Ralph is coming from.
I know, but you would think that
also, I mean, he's speaking the truth, man. I mean, why is it that in society we chose the cow and maybe even a goat for milk? We should be drinking milk from humans. It makes sense.
Oh, Corey, don't go there.
Ralph's an animal. Long live Ralph. I don't have an alcoholic beverage with me, but I'll cheers him with my glass of water right here. Here's to you, Ralph.
All right, Corey, that was not the response I was expecting from you. So
no, Ralph sounds insane.
You can go.
I agree.
I agree with what
you're saying. He definitely was trying way too hard.
Yeah, and then he started showing me pictures. This would have been worse if I heard him say this, but then at some point after that, because it was after he said the 18 beer thing, he was talking about work, and he works for like. I'm gonna try to keep this quick, but he works for like what's that word? Not repurposing, restoration, home restoration. So basically, like if like a house were to burn down for like or like any kind of like natural disaster, I guess. Yeah. But also in case there's like maybe like someone dies in a house, whether it be like a murder happened or like someone passes it, like so maybe someone who's a elderly passes away in their sleep, or anything like that. They restore the bedroom or the room where they were, like they get like any stains off the floor and to get rid of odors. Like he was basically
guys. They just spray it with a bunch of Lysol.
Yeah, just get one of those Yankee candles that you have so many of. Just put that in the center of the room.
Clean linen. They'll never know.
Yeah, all better now. But so yeah, he was telling me that, and I'm like, and of course, like I'm not gonna bash the guy for his job. Like I get it, like that's a job someone has.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, but then he's like, "Yo, do you want to see a crime scene?" And he said it out loud. Everyone's like, "What?" And I think someone said, "Wait, like right here," as if he was gonna do something. And but then he just showed me on his phone like some of the homes that he's been in, and like, my God, I've pretty disturbing stuff, is to say the least. And I get why he took the pictures, but I was just thinking, like, man, the girls don't want to see this, dude. Like, that's all I can say. Like, I mean, I'm a guy, so you can show me some weird stuff, but like, the girls don't want to see like all this like weird bloody stuff or these sad and depressing like pictures of like homes and
I was gonna say Ralph was off to a good start there. He had something to talk about, but yeah, I don't know if you want to bring up like I don't know what time it was at this point, but maybe you save the dark shit for like 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
I love how you were acting like he started off strong with the breath smoke, and then he crashed and burned with the with the career talk.
Maybe Ralph just needed a 19th beer, and then he would have been like the life of the party,
And then maybe well, now we'll never know. But then here's the final thing that kind of like really just said, okay, this guy's like, I mean, I hate to be rude, but I'm like, okay, this guy might be a bit of like just one of the.
I don't think Ralph is going to listen to this, so if you want to just go all in on him, by all means. Go all in.
I just want to say, Ralph, he's going to be. It's like when you say, oh, he's one of those guys. Basically, this solidified it because. So when we were at Keenan's, well, I'm sorry, we got at Tully Nut, we all got in, no problem. At Keenan's, him and his girlfriend, who was Amanda's friend, they couldn't get in because his ID expired, and we asked, wait, so it expired like when? Apparently, it expired in March, and he never got like a new ID, like a new driver's license, and I think like. I was trying to think off the top of my head, like, can you use the virus as like an excuse? But I'm thinking, like, dude, that was like 6 months ago. Wait, what? Like 5 or 6 months ago? Like, you really didn't get a new driver's license like before then? Because then I'm thinking, like, yeah, like I'm sure some bars or maybe like a beer distributor, they might not check that out. They just want to verify, yes, you're obviously over 21. But like for certain things, like how do you get around not having a valid ID? You know what I'm saying?
And I kind of agree with you where. excuse me, there's something in my throat. Yeah, like, you know, a lot of people had some stuff like that where it's like, oh, you can't get to it right away because of the pandemic. But dude, it since March, really?
Yeah. And I was trying to think, like, well, maybe off the top of my head, it's like, or I'm trying to, like, to sympathize with him, like, maybe he never knew because no, like, you know, because to be fair, it's not every day someone says, yeah, your ID expired, you know, so I don't know if it was a shock to him, but yeah, March is a long ways off. But now here's the part where I thought, like, man, I wouldn't have done this. He then told Amanda's girlfriend, Amanda's friend, his girlfriend, that he wants to go home, like the two of them, like no, let's just go home. I'm mad. And then I thought, wait a minute, like, well, don't punish her for this. And I thought, and all of us kind of like agreed that if I was in his shoes, I would have said, look, I screwed up, but you can stay here, hang out with your friends. I'm going to go back to the hotel. Yeah, and like not even go back to the hotel that they had. They were staying at a hotel. He said he was going to just go drive home. I'm like, dude, like, first of all, if you had 19 or 18 beers, that's not a good idea. And then I'm thinking, like, but why didn't you say that? Why did you ruin both of your nights? Because obviously she's embarrassed to begin with, you know. But why didn't you just say, look, I'll go back to the hotel. I'm sure she would still feel bad regardless. But, like, let her stay here and hang out with her friends. Don't ruin her night because you were the idiot. You know?
Especially since you said, like, this was more of the girls' night. Like, yeah, if I was him, I would have just been like, oh, you have fun. I'll just go get, like, some beer and, like, hang out wherever they're staying, you know?
Yeah. But anyway, so that was the show that Saturday was. And some
really
highs,
wrecked
but some lows. But Ralph was he was quite the character to meet on Saturday. And then, of course, when he wasn't there with us at Keenan's, everyone just started saying, yeah, we hate Ralph. I was like, oh my God.
Okay.
even some of the people, I'm sorry, just really quick, even some of the people who were like, who only really knew Amanda's friend and Ralph, like they knew them, and they were then meeting all of us for the first time, and they were nice and really nice and friendly. Like, we all like them, but then they were saying, yeah, like, we've known Ralph for like a year and a half, and we can't stand him. Like, we hate him every day. Every day, every time we had to hang out with him, we hate him more. And we were just dying. Like, oh my God, that's so bad.
But my point I was gonna say, where I'm like, hear me out. Every group kind of does need a Ralph, though.
No, every group needs like a Gary. Like, he's that Gary, you know.
Yeah.
He's a silly son of a gun. But the Ralph is like, oh my God!
Ralph is like someone you want small doses, you know.
It's kind of like it's like him existing can be like funny because, you know, oh man, like you like to hear about what's going on in Ralph's life. Oh yeah, did you hear that Ralph got arrested? Like, that's hysterical. But when Ralph hangs out with you, it's like, oh man, here comes like just that, like the mood just changes, you know. Because then you feel like you have to talk to him, and it's uncomfortable to talk to him. You know, blah blah blah. But yeah, so that was my weekend with Ralph.
I really wish the story ended with you just for some reason going back to their Airbnb or hotel room wherever they stayed, and you saw the 18 empty cans of beer, and who knows, maybe had some sort of jar or whatever you put.
A baby bottle. And
yeah,
I'm like,
sure. That works.
That's where the breast milk came from.
Fair enough. He wasn't telling a lie.
Yeah. At least I can say he didn't lie.
Honest Ralph rolls right off the tongue.
Honest Ralph. And there's the title drop for this episode. Oh my gosh. So yeah, but despite those antics from Ralph, it was a very fun weekend. Amanda and I had a good time, and we wish it could last a bit longer. And now we're back to our work week.
Oh, that feeling's bad.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you had a good time.
Thanks.
I love the beach, too. Wildwood's fun.
Yeah, I like Wildwood. And, you know, we're actually planning like another trip now to go back out with her friends. And we're thinking of doing like a mountain trip. And,
Ooh.
I mean, and I'm fine doing a mountain trip. I mean, I think it's fun to change it up. And, okay, fine, beach trip. Now do a mountain trip, you know, go do some hiking. Like, that's cool and all. But I think I'm always going to just prefer the beach. I just like the beach.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Especially during the summer, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. I just had a thought, but I lost. Oh, I was gonna say, while you were telling that story, I ended up looking up that place you were telling about because I don't live that far away from Wildwood, New Jersey either. So I'm like, maybe I'll check out that. Was it Tully?
Totally nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to look up their special drink too, and I just love how they have this like sign that they made in like the 70s or 60s where it's like that. It's like a really nice like mixed drink in like the like I don't even know how you describe the glass, like the party cocktail glass, and it's got like all the little fruits and the little umbrella and all the stuff.
It was kind of like I think it was. If I remember, it was kind of just like a jar. I think it's. Yeah. Let me look up again. I forget.
Well, I was gonna say the sign really paints it out as something that it didn't look like it was, because it looked like they were just in like those plastic like. Not a solo cup, but like the just plastic like see-through cups that you get like water or something.
That's funny. That's funny. I could have swore it was glass. I guess not. But yeah, so you're right. It was just like a plastic see-through, like like the cup you get at the dollar store.
Yeah, it's super cheap. I get it, but I just think that's hilarious. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like the picture makes it look like it's coming out in like a fancy like mixed drink glass, and it's like you get the red solo cup.
Yeah, and like all this little time and effort with all these little decorations they put on the top. Like, oh, can you believe they took the time to cut the lime like this? Look at the pineapple. But yeah, it's just like a cup with a straw.
A bendy straw. A bendy straw.
Drink up, buddy.
That'd be $12.
But with that being said, go ahead.
I think they actually were expensive too. That's why I said I'm not buying that one. Not worth it.
Watered down Gatorade, rip.
That's honestly what it tasted like. Sad day.
Well, whenever I go to Cape May, and I don't know if this is also kind of leaks into Wildwood. I think it does, but there's like the crushes. Have you heard of like the orange crush, or you can get different flavors? And
the orange. I love orange crushes.
They're pretty good, but at the end of the day, like it's almost just like drinking like orange drink, like not orange juice, like the orange flavored drink that you would get, like you could
like
get
High C or something.
Exactly. Like to me, that's all that tastes like, which isn't bad, but I people are always praising these orange crushes, and I'm like, I don't know, I'll stick with a mojito or something like that. They also have so many flavors that it kind of makes me curious too. Where I'm like, okay, one has to be really good, like watermelon, strawberry. Who knows?
Well, I'll tell you what. When the next time you go for a beach trip and you go to Wildwood,
ranking of crushes, I smell the content already.
Next podcast,
third crush. I'm like slurring my words. Like, all right, guys, I gotta finish this lemon crush, and I end up just throwing it across the room. It's delicious. I give it a 10 out of 11.
And now the meatball pizza crush. It's delicious.
Oh, God. No. God, that just makes me think of this horrible video that I saw years ago on Facebook. There's like this popular mixed drink or Facebook group. It's called like Tipsy Bartender. And I know him. A lot of the times the mixed drinks he makes actually look really good, but then they've done a lot of crazy ones where it's like, all right, buddy, like, does someone drink this like thing that's 90% candy and 10% booze, or is this like for underage children trying to drink? But regardless of that conspiracy theory, for like an April Fool's joke, he did like some disgusting cocktail where it was like a shot with like a cooked hot dog in it. I think he used like the hot dog water to like make the shot, and there was like ketchup and like all the condiments that go. It's horrible.
Yeah, that didn't sound very nice.
Yeah. I hope people didn't make those actually, but it's the internet, so I'm sure everything's been done before. But with that being said, hello everyone, and welcome to Level With Me podcast, episode 63. I am one of your hosts, Game Bro Corey, aka Corey. How y'all doing, folks? And I'm joined once again by my co-host, Mike, aka The Collector's Vault. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, Corey. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Level With Me. It is a gorgeous... Oh, no, it's not. It's a very gloomy Monday night, but we are happy to be here to talk about the most important thing in the world, and that is games. And other fun stuff.
Keep filling time. I'm chewing.
Oh. See, now, if you did what I told you to do, and you actually had the sound on, not only would... not only would I be entertained by the sounds of your chewing, but I would know, okay, Corey can't talk right now. So, but no, you had to be quiet there and leave that little block of awkward silence. So good job, Corey. Anyway, so
speaking of awkward silence, we have to just get this news article out of the way.
Oh man, I'm curious.
This is very sad. Actually,
oh yeah,
this isn't a joke.
Yeah, very, very sudden too. This was really shocking for a lot of people.
Yes,
so. Not gaming related, but still a very tragic thing.
It kind of like, pop culture-y nerd genre. I mean, at this point, superhero movies aren't even like nerd things. Like I can't tell you how many people have watched the movie Black Panther. Like that honestly, that movie alone was just a shock and like an impact for cinema. I mean, God bless, I don't really know any of the other movies that Chadwick Boseman was in. I saw a lot of people sharing them, and there was even like a link to all his work on Netflix, which I thought was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, unfortunately, folks, if you haven't heard already, Chadwick Boseman, aka T'Challa in Black Panther, or just the guy who is Black Panther, unfortunately passed away yesterday or Saturday night. He died at the age of 43. I believe it was. It's a type of cancer, was it not?
I think it was colon cancer.
I think you're right. Let me read the article in front of me. Yeah, stage 3 colon cancer. Oh, excuse me. He was battling it, and it was progressed to stage 4 over the last 4 years. So that again is another like incredible feat by this man. Like he was able to do all this acting while, just having this constant battle. God bless him, man.
Yeah, it really is a shame. I mean, it's funny. Like, we've been losing a lot of celebrities over the last couple years, and then obviously 2020 has been like, the one of the craziest years I've ever lived in. And he's just another one of the tragic people that we've lost, and not to the virus, but just to like the cancer is terrible. I mean, I it's funny, like a lot of times you hear about like family members, friends, and even celebrities, and they just like die very suddenly, and it's always some kind of a horrible form of cancer, So, all the we send our prayers out to him and his friends and family, for their loss. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
and to the pop culture world, the nerdy people out there who all loved his work in the most recent Marvel movies. It's a shame. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Now we have to do the impossible pivot of going back to our fun, not serious video game and other media news here. So let me just do a little shake off here. Okay.
Yeah, being silly.
Now, here we're doing the video game news, because here at Level With Me podcast, we are the #1 video game podcast on the planet Earth. I don't know about other planets.
I think
let us know.
I think Planet Mars has Joe. What's his name again? He's so insignificant. I can't even think of his name. Joe. Nope, don't worry.
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell. I don't know who you mean.
Yeah, never mind. Well, that just shows how pointless he is. He's the best guy on Mars, but on planet Earth, it's Level With Me podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe. What's his name?
Joe Rogan. How's his name?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the guy from Fear Factor. Right. He has a podcast? I've low-key been watching a lot of Fear Factor. It's great. All right, anyways. Video game news. Kind of video game news, but I guess this is technically a series. Resident Evil Netflix series officially confirmed will tell a brand new story. After more than a year of speculation about the possibility of Netflix developing a Resident Evil series, the streaming giant has finally confirmed that a live-action adaptation of Capcom's legendary survivor horror franchise is in the works. According to Netflix, Resident Evil will tell a brand new story across 2 timelines. Here's how Netflix describes the Resident Evil show in a brief synopsis. In the first timeline, 14-year-old sisters Jade and Billy Wesker are moved to New Raccoon City, a manufactured corporate town forced on them right as adolescence is in full swing. But the more time they spend there, the more they come to realize that the town is more than it seems, and their father, Albert Wesker, maybe concealing dark secrets. Secrets that could destroy the world. Cut to the second timeline. Well, over a decade into the future, there are less than 15 million people left on Earth, and more than 6 billion monsters, people and animals infected with the T-virus. Jade, now 30, struggles to survive in the new world, while the secrets from her past about her sister, her father, and herself continue to haunt her. I honestly heard the synopsis of this. Well, I read it, I should say, on Twitter, and I initially thought it was going to be like this. Maybe it was a parody, but I thought it was going to be like this Saturday morning like cartoon of like Jade and Billy Wesker, which are Wesker's two daughters, and they were gonna I don't know, like make it like very lighthearted, not that scary Resident Evil. And I almost like I almost, my mind was blown. I'm like, what are they doing with this? Like, this is so weird. Only in 2020. But now actually reading this, it does sound interested, and I will say now I'm interested.
Yeah, same. I am not the biggest Resident Evil fan, but I do know about the character. I know Albert Wesker. I think he was like ever since Resident Evil 1. He was like the guy who was like in charge of Umbrella.
He's the big bad.
Yeah, the big bad guy and everything. So I think it's cool when they do these little like backstories, like storylines. You know, like kind of like as I've always said, like in between quotes, like how they kind of just delve in between these stories and like help explain things. So that's kind of cool. I do think it's also neat because they're doing like they said like there's two timelines and one's going to be in the future when they're adults. I'm kind of getting some vibes of the It movies, how they have like a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I think it's neat that they're delving into new characters that weren't just going to be.
I like that too. Yep.
Yeah, like I mean, I know like most people probably think that like Resident Evil 2 is like one of the more popular ones, like the stories with Leon and I can't remember the girl's name from that game, but
Rebecca, I believe.
Rebecca, I forget, but I know Leon's one of the big because he's a recurring character. He was in like Resident Evil 4 and everything. So I was kind of expecting them to do maybe something along those lines, but like I think it's cool that they are introducing new characters because they will probably then they don't really have to. They have more freedom to tell the story. They don't have to make it seem like this happens exactly in this game because we know what Leon goes through.
Right.
But anyway, it's pretty cool. I'm excited for that.
I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Resident Evil films with oh my gosh,
Mila Jovovich, is that her name?
Yeah, you nailed it. Yep. I knew her last name was weird. I was trying to figure it out. My brain.
I'm probably Mila. Yeah, forgive me.
I think it's
Jokovic. It begins with a J. So
I think it's
Jokovic or Jokovic. I don't know.
Or you might be right. It might be Jokovic. I don't know.
Yeah, but we all know who you're talking about. Yeah, I have seen them, and I don't think they're the best movies in the world, but they're fun to watch. They're just really cool zombie shooters.
Mike, I couldn't agree more with you. That's how I was going to describe them too. Where I'm like, yeah, these aren't great, but they're fun. Like you can watch them and be like, oh look, there's Nemesis from Resident Evil 3, Nemesis, you know.
Yeah,
and Jill's in there, and like just how they work that stuff in, and I'm going to be curious to see what they do with that. Like, if it's going to kind of be like that, or like you said, maybe they're kind of just going to do their own thing, because I believe you're right. I think these are two brand new characters, because technically, I mean, if we're going to get into the Resident Evil lore, I'm pretty sure Wesker died in Resident Evil 6, so now it's like, I don't know, I guess they're just doing their own thing. I don't really know a lot about Resident Evil myself, but yeah, I think this could be cool, and I agree with the timeline thing. Maybe like the first part is going to be a lot of like the backstory, and then the second part you'll get more like actiony stuff where Jade is actually maybe fighting off like zombies and the monsters and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, and just to verify this, so that way we don't sound too unintelligent on this show, it's Leon and Claire. Claire's the other
Claire Redfield. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Whoops. Sister of Chris. I think Chris Redfield. He was in the first one. Yeah. See, I'm not a total idiot. I know some of the names.
I think there is Rebecca is in Resident Evil 2. She's just not one of the characters you play as.
Oh, great! Now I gotta look it up. I'm curious now.
I was also going to say about this real quick. Like, Netflix is honestly having a big boom with these like video game adaptations of things. I know you're watching the Witcher series, which I heard is very good. I've heard great things about the Castlevania like anime series. I want to really watch that as well.
Oh.
I think. Oh, there was that Dragon's Dogma anime got announced. That's a Capcom game too. Like it's kind of cool seeing all these like kind of old school companies making these like new series or whatever. I think this is a great like platform to them to create cool original stories, especially if Netflix is helping them, because that really supports a lot of the bill. Like they can probably throw a lot of money and make them look good, hopefully. Mm-hmm. Did you find out about Rebecca?
Yeah, I think she was in the first game, and maybe she was in the second one. Maybe was Rebecca playable alongside Chris Redfield?
No, that would be Jill, I thought. Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield.
You're right, it's Jill.
Because I've only played a little bit of Resident Evil 1, but yeah.
But you are right that Rebecca is in there. I
think she's a side character. She has some sort of like love thing with Leon. Oh well. Oh. Today isn't the day to get into Resident Evil lore. That's for the Halloween podcast.
That's gonna be a fun podcast.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I really need to finish some of my games so I can get to some fun Halloween games that I'd love to play. But that's not here or there. Today we're talking about the now. We're talking about the new news, the video game new news. So over the weekend, Gamescom 2020 happened. Now, usually Gamescom is like a big, almost like E3 type event that happens in, I believe, Germany. It's kind of like Europe's like biggest video game show, essentially. Mm-hmm. And they kind of just did their own, like, hey, we're not having a live show, so here's our virtual show. So that happened over the weekend. So there's a lot of big announcements around this. I'm not going to go through everything on this list. I literally just have an IGN article in front of me, guys, of the biggest highlights of trailers and announcements and stuff like that. So I'm kind of just going to skim through this and point out things that I think are cool. Mike, if you want to do the same thing, and if I miss something, you're free to do that as well. Of course, it's all newer stuff. There wasn't too much Nintendo news, unfortunately, out of here, but there was some other cool things. They showed off more gameplay about the new Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Not for me, but I think that game looks really cool. So good on that. They also showed a little bit more of Dragon Age 4, which I think is going to be very interesting because that's kind of like BioWare's like... It's weird because, they had their Mass Effect Andromeda, which kind of like, popped the balloon, so to say, like really made them go like, oh, is BioWare, like, can they still make good games anymore? And then they made Anthem, and we all know how Anthem went. So now they're working on this, and this is kind of going to be like, are we returning back to format? Like, is this going to be a good, like, single-player narrative RPG, or what are we doing here? And this didn't really go a lot into the gameplay. This was kind of just showing, like, what I'd call like maybe the alpha stage of this game, where they're just showing off a little bit of the tech, a little bit of animations and stuff like that. So we really don't know too much about this game yet, but they just showed a little bit more. They're still working on that. Let's see here. There was a new World of Warcraft, or I guess the expansion got a release date, which I didn't even know that was a thing. Also a little surprised they showed that now, but I think BlizzCon got canceled. I'm pretty sure BlizzCon is happening in the beginning of next year, and it's also going to be like a virtual event, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, this is a weird pick for me, but Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, I think this actually looks great. As someone who's never played any of the Lego games, well, maybe a little bit here or there, I don't really remember playing any of them, but this is like the full, like, all 9 movies essentially, and I'm sure they go into like Rogue One and all that stuff, but it's just all of the 9 movies, like, retold in Lego form, and I'm kind of interested in this. I might pick this up. It also looks very nice.
Yeah, it's funny. I've only played. I never actually owned and like played for like and played like on my own the Lego games, but like a lot of them are really fun. Like the
it's just like fun like couch co-op stuff. You know?
but it's like it's just so well done. Like the Lego Batman, the Lego Star Wars, like it's all really fun games. So like these, it's funny whenever I hear about any of these like Lego video games being made, I'm like, man, another one of these things. But then I keep like reminding myself, but these are always so well done, so I can't really complain.
And they do sell well. They are very good like family games. And something they did a few years ago, which I think is cool, is that like originally in these Lego games, they never had like the rights to any of the voice actors or the lines from the movies, so they'd always kind of like just like do these silly little things, interpreting the cut scenes of these significant events, but just being Legos and being like kind of not serious. But
yeah,
it's kind of interesting now because it's like literally they do that, but they also have the voice lines for the movies now. You know,
that's got it. It just makes it maybe appeal more authentic, like, I guess. When you can do that,
but it's like a little bit more wacky because it's Lego.
Oh yeah, like they always. That's part of the charm is all the comic relief that they throw in there. You know.
Specifically for me here, Devolver Digital, or excuse me, Mediatonic, the developers of Fall Guys, gave us a glimpse of their first season of content, which is technically season 2. But yeah, it's like all medieval themed. They got like cool like dragon costumes and like knights and like wizards. And they also showed off a few different of the like new courses they're going to be adding to the game. So that looks really cool. No release date on that, but I'm excited for the future of that game. Randomly, The Sims 4 is getting Star Wars, an official Star Wars expansion. That looks pretty cool. I believe you can just go explore the whole like Galaxy's Edge, you know, from like the Disney theme parks. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Let me see here. There's a lot on this article. I'm trying to see if there's anything else interesting. A lot of these are just gameplays. I'm going to be honest. I didn't really look at a lot of this stuff. Other than the initial like Friday that kicked off the event, there was a lot of big announcements there. This looked kind of interesting. I might watch this after the podcast. But 8-Bit Adventure 2 trailer, and they said it's more. It looks like it's inspired by like NES and SNES like JRPGs, and that looked pretty cool. I might look more into that. Let me see here. There was some Star Wars Squadrons campaign gameplay. So that's your thing. Go check that out. I'm still interested in that game. That looks cool.
Yeah, I'm very hopeful for it.
More Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure that game is coming along quite nicely, and people are excited for that. I've never played any of those games. I kind of want to take a look at that. Outer Worlds DLC. More Crash 4. Anything else here significant? I'm still scrolling through. Again, a little personal for me, but this game called Scarlet Nexus, which is this like very anime action RPG type game, looks really cool. Kind of giving me vibes of oh god, what was that name? What was the name of that game? Why do I always blank on this game? I loved it. It came out. Maybe you might be able to remember the name of it before I do, but it came out like last year on the Switch, and it was like that police anime game. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Astral Chain?
Astral Chain. There you go. Yeah. That Scarlet Nexus is giving me Astral Chain vibes, which is great because Astral Chain was one of my favorite games of last year. So, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm not really seeing anything else on here. That's okay. I'm at the end of the article. So, yeah, not really too much else there. I mean, there was a lot of stuff announced, obviously. I'm sure I missed some other cool stuff, but yeah, I just wanted to get most of the notable things. Not really any like formal, like big new announcements. It was more like, hey, take a look at all this stuff that is already coming out. Isn't it cool? You still want to buy it, right? So this next article, a little out of our wheelhouse, but I wanted to talk about it because I think it's kind of cool. Fortnite, a word you'd think we'd never say on this podcast. Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 4, Marvel crossover. So, over the past few years, you know, Fortnite being the biggest game on the planet next to our podcast is just continuing to get different deals. You know, they've got like Star Wars, they've had like Thanos and other like Marvel themed events where they had maybe like one or two characters. Well, this whole, like, I guess new season of content is all inspired on, like, the Marvel universe and Marvel heroes and villains. And there's even, like, this big, like, part in the Fortnite lore with Galactus. Like, maybe he's gonna, like, attack the Fortnite world. I don't really know. I didn't watch the trailer. But I thought it was cool. They added, like, you know, there's just a list of the different heroes they put in there. Like, you can play as Thor, you can play as Iron Man, you can play as Storm, Doctor Doom, She-Hulk, Mystique, Groot, everyone loves Groot, and Wolverine. And I think you can actually use like different weapons per character. which is also pretty fun. They kind of did something like that when they added Thanos for the Infinity War event. Like, you could actually find the Infinity Gauntlet, and you got, like, special powers with that. Again, I don't play Fortnite, neither does Mike, but I just thought this was cool. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's cool that it just, shows that they're... I mean, Fortnite, again, it is probably the biggest game on the planet, That's arguable, but, like, they are big enough that it's kind of cool to see that, hey, they're actually getting these crossovers, because that just shows that they're making deals, they're talking to people, they're making good connections. So I think even though I'm not a fan of Fortnite, I still find it interesting to say the least. So.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about it. I thought it was interesting too. Speaking of Marvel's Avengers. Every post-launch character will have a $10 battle pass. Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics have revealed more details on Marvel's Avengers gear, cosmetics, vendors, marketplace, and the Premium Hero Challenge cards, which will cost $10 for each free post-launch character. This explainer on gear and cosmetics began by reiterating that all future updates, including new characters, story, content, missions, and regions, will be available for free for all players. Furthermore, while there will be no cosmetic content that will be purchasable with real money, it will be aesthetic only and will not impact gameplay in any way. And then the article kind of goes on to explain the different aspects with this. I mean, is it not very telling that there's just a battle pass in every game now, and every game is a games as a service? Like, what do these developers expect, Mike? I can only play so many games.
I'm sorry. Can you please repeat that question again?
Oh, you're good. I'm like, so many of these developers, they keep wanting to make all their games as a service, and I'm just like, how do they expect me to keep up? How do they expect players to play all these games? Yeah, not to mention a $10 battle pass every time. Well, actually, that's kind of standard, but this just shocks me because, well,
I think it all just comes down to they don't expect you to do this, Corey. They expect a percentage of all gamers to do this, and I guess it adds up that there's enough of them out there that they will.
Good point. Someone will do this.
Yeah,
someone.
And forgive me, is this a PC game as well? That's maybe where the big. That's probably where the big portion of this comes from. The PC people,
Mike, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure this game actually comes out this Friday.
Oh, what do you know?
Yeah.
Well, prepare for them to make a lot of money because people can't get enough of that Marvel.
I don't think this game... Yeah, it does come out this Friday. I don't think this game looks bad. I just don't think it looks particularly interesting. And that kind of bums me out because in concept, it's a great idea. It's just, I don't need another one of these, hey, go grind for a bunch of loot that, just to make your boots be a higher number or your helmet be a higher number. I mean, yeah, it's awesome. You could play as, Iron Man or Captain America or whatever, and I'm sure they're going to add a bunch of fun, like, DLC characters in there, but I don't know. I don't think it's for me, personally. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that, I enjoy that kind of game every now and then. Like that kind of like tedious grinding to level up. Like I do get some enjoyment out of it from game to game, but like I can't do it all the time because again, like the amount of time that you dedicate for these kind of games is just it's so many hours, and exactly. I just don't know if and not even just including that, but like me as us being adults now, it's hard to dedicate those kind of hours just out of our day, not even alone during like our gaming time, but like I only have so many hours in a week, and it's like I can't dedicate it all to all of these kind of games that just revolve around grinding and leveling up. It's a bit too much. But
I 100% agree. But yeah, there are some gamers who really just appreciate these types of games, and someone out there, Marvel's Avengers is like their game for the next like end of the year or however long they keep playing.
That's very true. Maybe some people they saved up enough money to get Marvel's Avengers, so they're going to get the most out of it. Hey, more power to you. That's fine.
unironically the complete opposite model of the next game we're going to talk about here, where, you know, every year you got to get a new one. 60, 70 bucks, whatever.
$70 now, right? That's going to be the new standard?
Yeah, it's looking that way. Anyways, the game I'm talking about is none other than Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. That is the official name. It is out this November 13th. The full official reveal happened last Wednesday. Yes, last Wednesday. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War has finally been revealed and will come to Xbox One, PS4, and PC on November 13th, with PS5 and Xbox Series X versions set for release this holiday season. After numerous leaks, teases, and rumors, Activision today unveiled its Treyarch/Raven co-production inside Call of Duty Warzone, alongside the announcement that it will feature a campaign, new multiplayer, and new zombies experience, and a continuation of Warzone. Black Ops Cold War will feature the following modes according to its Battle.net description. Campaign. Black Ops Cold War will drop fans into the depths of the Cold War's volatile geopolitical battle of the early 1980s. Nothing is ever as it seems in a gripping single-player campaign, where players will come face-to-face with historical figures and hard truths as they battle around the globe through iconic locales like East Berlin, Vietnam, Turkey, Soviet KGB headquarters, and more. Multiplayer. Bring a Cold War arsenal of weapons and equipment in the next generation of multiplayer in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Engage in deniable operations as an elite operative using state-of-the-art tools of the tradecraft across a variety of experiences, from small skirmishes to all-out vehicle-fueled warfare. Zombies. Uncover dark Cold War experiments that unleash a new zombie threat to take on in frightening and intense cooperative gameplay with friends. So, not too surprising overall. Generally what you get in your typical Call of Duty package.
Sounds like the next Call of Duty game. That's all I can say. And again, to all of the listeners out there who are fans of Call of Duty, hey, again, more power to you. I hope you enjoy this game. It's just not for me. It's just like I've lost interest in Call of Duty games a long time ago. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that, Mike. I haven't.
I know. I know you said that you've been playing the Modern Warfare game. You know, and
yes.
That's fine. Like I'm happy that you enjoyed the game. I just lost interest years ago, and I just never got it back. Like even like being over my friend's house, and even there was one time, like I think maybe last year or so, my friend has a son who's like 8 years old, and he was playing Call of Duty, and so like like a couple of us were in the room like playing it with him, and I'm like, yeah, this is fun, but I really just don't feel the need to go buy it and play it again, you know. So for anybody who's worried, you haven't tried the new game, like no, I have played the games. It's fun. I see why people like it, but I just don't have a desire to keep playing it.
I mean, I can definitely see where you're coming from. As a Call of Duty fan, I do realize that they don't really change a lot, you know, game to game. It's literally just like the aesthetic of the game, and then there might be like one or two like gameplay differences, but I completely understand that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But I did want to say, really, with the official reveal, all they showed off right now is kind of like the plot of what the story mode is going to be in this game. And actually, the single player mode in Modern Warfare, the last one they did, was pretty good. I wish I got to play through the whole thing, but I heard a lot of people praising how good it was. And I put about like an hour or two into it. I mostly play the multiplayer, but I liked what I played in the single player. And like they were explaining here on the Battle.net description, like it takes place in the 1980s, and apparently there's going to be a lot of like, you know, hunting like these big like historical events, or apparently there's like stuff with conspiracy theory type things. They talk about historical figures, and like in the trailer they have this like very detailed old Ronald Reagan model, which is and it's kind of like a good impersonator, so that's kind of neat. I also just really enjoy the whole Cold War era. So whenever I get a good like Cold War game, it already like intrigues me because I like that kind of early take on all like the modern weapons. I think that's fun.
Yeah, but, I do think the history of the games is probably one of the more fun things about it. You know how they might, and I kind of get reminded of like Assassin's Creed, how they were like starting to delve into like actual historical events and bring up historical characters just to kind of make it up. Like, yeah, this is how they were somehow intertwined with the assassins and everything. And then, but this is obviously trying to more be like a bit more realistic to just trying to say here, you're actually going to interact with these like actual characters from like 20, 30, well, more now, like 40, 50 years ago, you know, so.
And I do think it's cool because I remember a few stories ago we were talking about how this could be like a direct sequel to the original Black Ops, and it actually is. Like, there are in the trailer characters from the first Black Ops game, like Woods. He's like one of your main like partners that you go with, and I think that's pretty cool. I like the Black Ops campaigns back in the day.
Okay.
Speaking of back in the day and first-person shooters, we have some Halo Infinite news. Unfortunately, it's not coming out this year yet. Sad face.
What?
But anyways, Halo Infinite, no plans to delay until 2022. Remove Xbox One support. Following the news that Halo Infinite will be delayed, unsubstantiated rumors began circulating that Halo Infinite could be delayed as far as 2022 and drop support for the Xbox One altogether.
Oh. Good Lord, I did not hear that rumor. That is,
yeah.
That'd be horrible if it was true.
but these rumors were shut down by 343 Industries. In a tweet response, 343 community manager John Giunsek, hope I said that right. Sorry, John. Said that there are no plans to change our 2021 release or the devices and platforms we'll be supporting. We're building Halo Infinite to be the best it can be on each device/platform. Yeah, that's just real good news, because you would kind of assume that, I mean, it's kind of just that we don't know, right? Like, we don't know how long Sony and Microsoft are going to support the PS4 and Xbox One. And honestly, like, who knows how long it's going to be, because you can do a lot of stuff still on the 360 and the PS3. Like, me and my girlfriend just bought Conker's Bad Fur Day like a month ago, you know? All that stuff's still up.
Oh, yeah, like for retro game, I mean, it's kind of crazy now that the Xbox 360, the Wii, and PS3 are now, I guess, they're now reaching retro status. But, like, yeah, like, there are still a lot of great games from those generations that, like, you know, are, they're still worth playing, so I think there's still platforms that you should have around, but then again, like, it's good. I mean, how many people still have? I mean, I know you guys do, but like, how many people still have their 360s and their PS3s still hooked up? You know?
Yeah, that's questionable.
Especially when the next gen comes out, then it's like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that they're still going to support the Xbox One. It would be funny to see if that, I mean, that probably won't be the last game released on the Xbox One. I'm sure we'll be getting a lot of games.
I'm sure there'll be a few. I'm sure some of the shooter games might still get some support on there or something, you know?
I would...
Maybe I'm sorry, I was going to say maybe like some download-only games, you know? There'll be some games that are just download-only, or, you know...
I would love to live in a world where Halo Infinite gets released, like, kind of early next year. Like, if it would come out in, like, February or March, I think that'd be really cool. But I can also see a world where they push it back for the holiday season next year. But I guess we'll see. More Halo news here. I thought this one was just kind of silly. Halo Infinite Monster Energy promotion moving forward. Prizes detailed. Halo Infinite has been delayed till 2021. That's probably the third or fourth time we said that on the podcast. But it isn't stopping a Monster Energy promotion from moving forward. A new post on the Xbox blog reconfirms that the promotion is moving forward as planned and gives a look at some of the prizes being offered. Partnerships like this don't happen overnight, and this has been in the works for a long time, the blog explains. It goes on to detail how double XP boosts are available as one per can, which means if you get a 24 pack, you'll get a full 24 boosts to use. You can earn up to 60 in total. Okay, yada yada yada. You buy the energy drink, you get the code to get the double XP. I just wanted to point out how this game is going to have, I guess, well, I don't know if Halo's been doing this since like maybe Halo 5, because I don't really know anything about Halo 5, but there are like skins now for your weapons. And there's actually some really nice like renders of like the battle rifle, the assault rifle, and this new pistol and new other rifle. I forget what they called this thing. I actually think the camos look kind of nice, you know. They're just like these nice like green and black. But I think it's also just weird seeing camos in Halo. Again, though, I'm probably just late to the party here. I'm sure Halo 5 had skins because that game only came out in like 2015. But yeah, I think it's just interesting. Also, I don't know when Monster Energy became like the new, like that's where you promote all the video games. So I having a good old Mountain Dew and Doritos, guys.
That's old school now, man.
I guess so, Mike.
Only us old people remember the Mountain Dew and Dorito days.
Oh my gosh, I remember I was actually in college the year Halo 4 got released, and that was like kind of a big deal because everyone thought Halo was dead after the HD remake of Combat Evolved. And, when that came out, they did the same kind of promotions they did with Halo 3, and they re-released the Gamer Fuel Mountain Dew, and they had, like, double XP on each, 16-ounce bottle, or if you got, like, a 12-pack of the cans, you got, like, a code for a certain amount of time. And when I think there was even a competition tied to it, like, if you enter more codes, you get, like, points, or you get, like, raffles to enter stuff. But literally, it would be, like, me and my buddy, specifically my one buddy, he would just go and get all the caps for like the 16-ounce soda bottles because people would just constantly be throwing them away because there's any Mountain Dew. It didn't have to just be Gamer Fuel. They were all sponsored with the Halo 4, sweepstakes or whatever. So yeah, he just had like an arsenal. And I think when Halo 4 eventually came out and he entered all his codes, he had I feel like he had like a year or two worth of double XP. It was crazy. Anyways, though, PS5 Ubisoft support page muddies PS1, PS2, and PS3 backwards compatibility question. PlayStation 5's full backward compatibility potential has remained, I can't speak, somewhat of a mystery as Sony has not confirmed or denied any potential for support beyond PS4 games. But a recent and now updated support page from Ubisoft has further muddled the waters about the past generations the PS5 will or won't be potentially backward compatible with. A Ubisoft support Q&A page in response to a question about upgrading games from PS4 to PS5, as spotted by Wario64 and confirmed by IGN, originally said that backwards compatibility will be available for supported PlayStation 4 titles, but not possible for PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, or PlayStation games. The page has since been updated to remove all mention of backwards compatibility or prior PlayStation generations of hardware. It only continues to mention the upgrade process moving into the PS5, as well as the PS4 players will be able to play multiplayer games with PS5 players. So, Mike, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but this has been like kind of an ongoing thing. I want to say not even just this year, but since essentially like the PS5 has been brought to question where, hey, why can't this thing just be the play, I forget the name people came up with, but essentially be able to play just the 5 generations of PlayStation hardware? Because hypothetically, it could work. There could be emulators in there where you pop your PlayStation 1 disc in there.
And it emulates a PS1 because it knows, oh, there's a PS1 game in here.
Exactly.
I think we talked about this before, and how
Probably. Yeah,
and I think just to reiterate, I think we did discuss that like the technology for the PS5 is obviously so powerful and advanced that it should be able to play PS1 games, but the thing is like it's not as simple as that. Like there actually is like coding that's required. So I think we did like establish that it takes work to make the PS5 be able to read PS1 games. And although, I agree, it should be simple that, like, especially with the way they described the PS5 and then eventually the 6, 7, so on and so forth, you would think that they would be designed that way to just be able to play every previous generation. But, like, I don't know. It'd be cool, because I think that's why people are really pushing for the Switch to be, like, the end-all, like, for currently to be the end-all, be-all system that can play. Like, we have the NES and Super NES games on the online thing, but that's why people are thinking, like, man, why couldn't this thing have...
Where's Nintendo 64, you bastards?
Well, that too, but I think that's why people are...
Sorry, I lost my cool.
Oh my gosh, use the B word. But, it's like, people were probably thinking, like, oh man, why can't we have, like, the virtual console on the Switch? Because then it could be the end-all, be-all, just play whatever you want on it, But,
I agree. Yeah, I do remember us talking about this before because actually Xbox will do this and currently does do this, just not with every title, but there are a handful of Xbox original games you can just put in your Xbox One X or whatever and they will work. And I believe they said that they're going to keep all those games on the Series X, which is cool.
That's good.
And, you know, will I ever use any of these functions? Probably not. Do I want this on the system? Absolutely. Just for, like, you know, collectors or any sort of nostalgia type thing. I may be looking at it as like a businessman. Maybe they would rather just be like, hey, we'll just sell you the ROM of PlayStation 1 or 2 games on your PS5. But yeah, maybe. It's still all rumors. I will say don't lose hope if any of you read this and be like, oh, well, that means it's not going to do it. It's still not confirmed. It literally... Sony, maybe it doesn't work now, but then like a year from now, Sony could be like, hey, we're actually doing the work. Now you can play all your PS3 games or most of your PS, you know.
Yeah, there'll be like a downloadable thing.
That'll cost $20.
Yeah, of course. And then every game you want to play will charge an additional $5, you know. So like, it's a Game Pass.
Sony's like, okay, we tried our luck with the retro mini consoles. No one liked our PlayStation Classic or whatever it was called. So now we're just making a virtual PlayStation 2 Classic. It costs $20 on your PlayStation 5. I mean, I could see that. I could see them doing that. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I could see them doing that.
Especially when the actual like, physical things like the PS Classic costs like what? How much? Like $80 or something.
Yeah,
maybe not that much.
I think you're right. I think it was either 80 or 100 when the PlayStation Classic came out.
Yeah.
Then it got heavily discounted quick.
Yeah, so technically the $20 might be an actual like steal for those things if that were to happen. But who knows?
All right, everyone. This is the Level With Me podcast, and we love Nintendo so much, we always save the Nintendo news for last. It's like our little treat, you know? Unfortunately, this week, you know, I don't mean to go all the way back to the beginning of the podcast where I was talking about me being depressed, but...
this was depressing for me.
This was incredibly depressing for me, Mike. I can't tell you, this drought, man, it is unreal. We're all going to be skeletons by the time Nintendo's like, hey, guys, here's your real Direct.
It's like that meme where it's like, oh, like I'm just going to wait for the next actual Direct, and then they're like a skeleton still waiting.
Yep. But yes, we're talking about August 26th, Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase. This literally just came out of the void. And they uploaded it directly to their YouTube channel. So you know it's got a lot of good news in it, right? You know, just don't tell anyone. Just put it out immediately. And yes, I will emphasize the tag partner showcase, as there was, I believe, 0% of new Nintendo products from this one. But yes, I'm literally going to scroll down the thing here because I don't even remember everything they announced. I know... The new Kingdom Hearts game got a release date. I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan. That game doesn't really interest me too much. I'm sure I'm going to play it at some point. So, you know, that announcement, I honestly could care less about. And then besides that, like, what do they even got? Fuser, I've heard good things about it. Don't care. The drum game, that's fun. All right, moving on. World of Tanks Blitz. All right, moving on. Big Rumble Boxing, Creed Champions. What? It doesn't even come out this year. Spring 2021. Okay, all right. Collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legend. Like, what? This one guy has a chainsaw? That's crazy. Just Dance 2021. Oh, this year. Thank goodness. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. Oh, my goodness. I was hoping they'd make a sequel to the launch title of the year. I mean, I have nothing even to say about the rest of these games.
Yeah,
I feel like I've hurt someone's feelings already because I know someone out there listening was like, "Oh, Final Fantasy Saga Collection! I was waiting so long for that." And I'm sorry, whoever was waiting so long for that. I'm not. I'm waiting so long for maybe Metroid Prime 4, Mike.
Oh, don't get me started.
Maybe the next Smash character. Anyone? Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild 2, the next Mario game, the Mario remixes that are being rumored.
That actually reminds me, I should have pulled this up, but there is a rumor that this week that'll get announced, the like 3D Mario game. So crossing our fingers, everyone. All right, back to the bad news.
Yeah, the Jump Force game looked cool just because, like, oh look, there's all the anime guys. There's Naruto and the guy from One Piece and Goku from Dragon Ball Z.
One Piece, that's his name.
Oh, I thought his name was like Yuffie.
No, because it's Naruto. That's the name of the main character. Dragon Ball Z. That's the name of that one guy with the orange.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the orange and the blue. Yeah, that his name is Dragon Ball Z. Just like in Metroid, Metroid is the one that shoots all the missiles and hunts the green jellyfish.
Yeah,
that's Metroid. Halo shoots the guns.
Yeah, we're just talking about Halo, man.
Yeah, Halo Man's awesome.
Halo Man is a great.
But how does he jump so high? I don't know how Halo Man does that.
I'm a big fan of Zelda from The Legend of Zelda. He's so cool.
We're moving on before I get really mad about these stupid. Anyway, but yeah. All in all, I agree. A lot of these games are very disappointing because, well, the games are not disappointing, but the fact that this is all they have to show for this partner showcase, it's like, these are fine to have. Like, I'm perfectly okay with these little partner showcases to show us these games, but like, you can't keep us waiting for so long and then just drop these, like, and I don't know. And I guess it's not their fault that rumors surface of, oh, there's going to be a direct this week, and then it's like, all right, quick guys, we got to put an actual direct together. Like, I'm sure it's just these are just coming out and they are coinciding with these rumors, and then people get even more mad when this happens because then these third-party games that are cool to have. I mean, I'm not mad these third-party people are making games for the Switch. That's great. The Switch needs more of these games, but why is it that Nintendo just can't give us a real direct with the main IPs that we all are loving and wanting? Like Paper Mario came out, and I know that's not the biggest game in the world, but it is a popular franchise for Nintendo.
Paper Mario was a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, it was. But you're thinking like, man, why didn't couldn't they have done like a direct with that? But no, they just dropped that on us. Like, oh yeah, we'll just release this one game, and then the Pikmin 3 was the only other thing I can think of, and it was like it's like, oh yeah, here's the port for Pikmin 3 to the Switch.
My goodness, Mike, how did you forget about the highly anticipated holiday Nintendo Switch release, Bakugan?
Oh yes, I forgot. for all 8 Bakugan fans, I totally forgot about that. But yeah, like it's disappointing. Again, this has by no means satisfied that thirst we have. We are still in a Nintendo Direct drought by my standards.
This is all quite ironic, Mike, considering I've been seeing a lot of other. Again, we could have talked about these news stories, but I'm pretty sure Nintendo is like Japan's highest grossing company, period. And they're killing it with the Switches. Like there was a Switch shortage like a few months ago. But it's like, what are you guys doing with all this money? And you're going to lose it all.
I know. And I think someone made a really good point. This was done by a Rule of 2 review on YouTube. You guys go check him out. He made a really good point that it's very possible that the upper-ups, the higher-ups in Nintendo, whether that be Nintendo of America, Japan, Europe, they might really just be looking at the numbers. And right now, the Switch is still selling like crazy. So they must feel like, yeah, these directs are doing great because look at all the great sales we're making. All the sales are up. The Nintendo's back on top, and so maybe they're okay with these. I mean, it's more like they're just so disconnected from reality, as in like the actual player base. They think, oh yeah, they love this crap. Like we don't have to worry about telling them about like what else we're making, or maybe or to make them push towards making other games that are using the bigger IPs like. And I think it's true, like, because otherwise, why would they keep doing this? Why would they just make these announcements? I mean, we had, 3 in the last, month? No, there was one or maybe, a month and a half, because there was another, the previous partner showcase. Yeah, well, there was that, and then there was the previous partner showcase that had, 4 games on it,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So they do that, the indie game, in which, the indie ones are too, but then they do this, it's like, do you really think this is what the fans are looking for? They want this to be in between the direct stuff, like the actual big direct news, not I mean, I can complain for a whole hour right here, but I think we just move on. Yes, it was disappointing.
I do pray though that with this much tension and backup, if you will, that once we do finally get the almighty Nintendo, the true Nintendo Direct, it will satiate all our needs.
I mean, at this point, it better knock our socks off. If they're not, releasing any games or like doing these little shadow drops, man. The next Nintendo Direct better have like everything, and it better just blow us away.
We're gonna have some fun here, and I'm going to just hard commit. Oh, what? Okay, think of something I'm gonna do if I'm wrong here. I bet that the next proper Nintendo Direct we will see whatever the next Switch is. Like the successor, if you will. Not Nintendo's next console, but like the Switch 2 or the Super Switch, I think in the next Direct we will see the more
powerful Switch.
Yeah, or there'll be a teaser for it.
I think that could be possible. That could be a possibility. And maybe they can use that to market, hey, these games that are going to be coming
out are going to be Wild better. 2, Metroid Prime 4.
They're going to be bigger and better, and they will be, more optimized for the Switch Pro or the Super Switch. Yeah,
it would be awesome if they could port like some of the games that were on like just the last gen now, the PS4 and the Xbox One. Like put Fallout 4 on the Switch. Put like all these like third-party core games. Like maybe the newer Call of Duties. Like that would be the Assassin's Creed games. There's so many like good They could make I assume that's the direction they'd probably go in because that's kind of what they're doing now. Like they're really just nitpicking the 360 PS3 era and remastering and putting those games on the Switch.
Yeah, and there were a few current gen things like
they are doing Doom Eternal.
Like Doom, like Doom. That was like a current gen game that they made for the Switch.
I know they did do Mortal Kombat 11, although I heard or whatever the new one is. Although I heard that was not a good port.
I heard a lot of sacrifices were made for that one. So
they did it, and I mean then they could be like, hey, it works better now.
Yeah,
but yeah, so that is a hard. I bet that they will definitely show the next Switch on the next proper Direct whenever we get that. I think we're at least due for one this year, Mike. If I would also bet we'll get at least one proper Direct.
I mean, 4 more. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 more months to go. I really hope so. Maybe announce some holiday games. Like, again, with the holiday coming, you think like they would need something to. They got to announce the holiday.
And there was even that thing we mentioned, or you mentioned like a week or two ago about those like new controllers that were going up. Remember?
Yeah, that was. I swore that. Oh yeah, I don't know if that was ever announced. That was supposed to supposedly coincide with when they thought the Direct was going to happen. I don't know if those controllers were announced or not. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. We every day we just pray to the Nintendo gods and please just a crumb, anything, please. New Joy-Con colors, I don't care.
They can even tease us with like a picture of some games, like. I think we need to move on before I start crying.
With that being said, though, that's going to do it for the news segment of the Level With Me podcast, and now we move on to our second segment, where your two hosts, that's me, Corey.
We will eat meatball pizza and critique it.
Well, there's not much to critique. It's the best thing ever. It's the true pizza topping. Pepperoni, anchovies. Supreme, like who needs any of that? Pineapple, ugh. Meatball, that's it. You don't even need sauce or cheese on there, just meatballs.
You don't even need the crust, just make the pizza out of meatballs. And then, with that said, we're moving to part 3 of the podcast.
I'm just imagining you invite someone over to your house and you're like, come over tonight, guys, I'm gonna make some pizza, and you just have a bowl of meatballs, and they're like,
what is this?
or better yet, you just put like a bunch of meatballs on like one of those like iron pizza pans or whatever.
Yeah.
Like even more weird. Like, I don't think Mike knows what a pizza is.
And then I'm like, guys, just sit back. I'm gonna knock your socks off with this pizza. And then they try it, and you're like, my God, we haven't had pizza that good in ages. Like, I know.
Every time. The next time I see a meatball pizza, I'm just taking a picture of it and sending it to you. No context. Because you were just at the beach. When you go to the beach and you pass those pizza, they always have every pizza. Like, they make one pie, and that meatball pizza pie probably sits there the whole goddamn day.
No, if anything, it doesn't, because it just flies off the shelf. I mean, I can never take a picture of it, because once it comes out of the oven,
you're right. They probably that's like a unicorn getting a picture of the meatball.
Exactly. I have to Google meatball pizza because I can't see it in the wild. It's too rare, and it's a supply and demand, man.
Well, I have a challenge to our listeners now. If you see a meatball pizza in the wild, please take a picture and send it to us either via our Gmail, which is levelwithmepodcast@gmail.com, or the Instagram, levelwithmepodcast at Instagram. Please only send meatball pizza. We don't want to see, anything else. I don't care what it is. I don't want to see it. I just want meatballs. Period.
I just want meatball pizza.
Yes. Ooh, yeah. Just like that. Mike sent a tasty pic.
Yeah, just to tease Corey a little,
It's okay, though. I still got some of my food over here, so I thought I'm hungry,
but it's not meatball pizza, so
yeah.
it will never satisfy
I'll go
hunger.
spit it in my girlfriend's face and be like, this isn't what I wanted. I wanted meatball pizza.
Does it look like meatball pizza to you, and just slap her in the face? That's we do not condone that kind of violence here on Level With Me podcast.
Anywho.
Unless it's for meatball pizza. Anywho,
I only slap people in the face after I eat meatball pizza and go, this is ridiculously good. You gotta be kidding me. And they're like, no, sir.
All that energy just comes out. You have to get rid of it somehow, so you just slap people.
All right, I'm going to take the mic first because, like I mentioned earlier, I had like a very nothing weekend. I didn't really get a lot done. In terms of what I watched, I usually like to watch movies. I didn't get around to any movies this weekend. Like I said, I have been watching a lot of Fear Factor. I don't have much to say about that other than, it's wacky. We actually just got a bit in the episodes of Fear Factor. We hit the second season, and it was interesting because the first episode was a celebrity special, and who cares about the celebrities that were there? I think Coolio was there and David Hasselhoff. Who cares? Who cares? The thing that was kind of interesting is they all were kind of talking about this isn't really funny, but they were talking about the 9/11. It was, I'm pretty sure that season came out right after 9/11 happened. So it was kind of interesting because I was sitting on the couch thinking oh my God, I just watched the first season of Fear Factor, which came out in 2000, and that was a world before 9/11. That's kind of wild. No one expected this to happen a year later. And then they mention it on that other episode, and it's oh right, that was a big thing that happened. I don't know. It's just fascinating to me. It's not funny. It's sad that happened, but regardless, I've been enjoying Fear Factor, even though Joe Rogan's trying to get our #1 podcast spot. We were offered a studio down in Texas, but we denied it. We prefer just doing the podcast in the comfort of our own homes.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of dry heat.
Yeah. So yeah, we're fine here in Pennsylvania. Anyways, other things I've been watching. I started this series on Netflix. I believe this came out a week or two ago. It's called High Score. Are you familiar with this, Mike?
No, I'm not, but I'm going to look it up while you talk about it.
All right. So it's fairly new, like I said, but basically this is just it seems like a very simplified version of a video games documentary, but it's done, very well, very expensive. Lots of money was thrown at this. It's all in 4K. It's very beautiful.
Oh.
And I watched the first 2 episodes. I believe there's 6. They're about 40 minutes or an hour each. And I really enjoyed what I watched so far. The first episode really went into a lot of how Atari kind of got its roots. They touched on Space Invaders and the arcade buzz. Yeah. And they even talked to the guy who made E.T. on the Atari and how that kind of caused the initial video game crash. Then the second episode is more about shout outs to our favorite Nintendo, and it had a lot of stuff with the NES and Donkey Kong, the arcade games. And I forget if they started mentioning Sega stuff there. I think Sega might be the third episode. I don't know if this covers all the way up to modern games. They did mention modern gaming in some of the episodes. There was like a funny bit where the announcer just goes esports, and it made me laugh. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really well done. I'm digging that. It's a good... I feel like it's like I kind of know some things, but I watch this and I'm like, oh, I never actually knew that. So maybe you'll learn something. Cool. Yeah, maybe you'll learn something you didn't know. And like I said, a lot of money was thrown at this, so like everything you see looks really crisp and clear. Like when you're looking at these old like CRTs or these old monitors. And I thought it was neat, like the one about Space Invaders. They actually got to interview the creator of Space Invaders, and he brought out like his old like design books. Now, obviously, I can't read any of it. It's all written in Japanese or wherever he's from. And but he even has like the hand-drawn like sprites of like the Space Invaders, whatever they're called. Like there's 4 different ones, and I thought that was really cool. Now, again, they don't get everyone you want. Like I think they mentioned Shigeru Miyamoto. He wasn't in the episode I watched about Nintendo. Who's not to say they don't get him later? I don't know. I'm only on episode 2, but I really enjoyed it. You know, this is the #1 video game podcast. So if you need some video game stuff to watch and you have Netflix, check this out. High Score. I enjoy it. I plan to watch the rest of it.
I'm gonna put this on my to watch list. I'm actually really intrigued because I do love the video game history. Because like when you really think of it, video games are like a form of art, just like any kind of like media and film. Like it's just like, so I love learning about like how like this was a revolution. Like we at least with like Atari, how that brought video games from arcades to people's homes. Like that was huge, you know. And then obviously, yeah, like I would love to get to the part where Nintendo, you kind of just became like that. Like Nintendo like took over. They were it when it came to video games.
Yeah, and
Sega. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and some of this you might like just know from, you know, we know like a somewhat decent amount about video games. Like they explain like, oh, Nintendo used to make like toys, and then they made their Famicom, and then they're like, oh, well, we want to have a video game market in America, so then they had to design the NES, and they go over like some concepts of what it looked like and kind of how they decided on what the colors were. Like it's all fascinating. Like I kind of didn't really know a lot of these like little like secrets, or like, oh, that's how they did it. Even for what you're talking about Atari, there was actually like I wish I could remember his name, and I feel horrible because
Nolan Bushnell. I think he was the creator of Nolan Bushnell. Is that the guy you're thinking of?
I'm not sure, because there was like, so whoever made the like Atari consoles actually like copied this one dude's invention of cartridge based gaming, and their whole point of this little part in the whole documentary is so people don't forget about him, because he made like a home video game console with cartridges, but Atari pretty much copied that idea and blew up. So no one remembers him, and now I feel awful because I can't remember his name either.
Coleco? Is that one of them?
Coleco is a company, but that's not the guy who designed this technology. I would search, like, if you want to try to find his name, search, like, original designer of cartridge-based video games or home video games. I forget his name, but maybe if you say it, it'll pop up. I think he had like a beard and glasses. I mean, I'm sure that's pretty vague. That's like everyone who designs tech.
I'll definitely see if I can find it.
But yeah, it was cool. Yeah, I'm enjoying that, and I will probably watch the rest of that. On a completely different note, this week I finally decided to venture back into the beautiful art form known as anime. I've been without it for quite some time. And I felt like it was time to come back. That we actually got some new workers who changed shifts at my job. And the one guy that I'm growing a liking to, he's actually really into anime. And I'm like, oh, I like anime, even though I don't watch it that much. So I'm like, I should probably start watching it again, so I have something to talk to him about. So I don't even remember if I mentioned this anime I started months ago on the podcast. I probably did. It was called Beastars. That's Beast with like a R's at the end, like a star, like, you know, in the sky or whatever. Beast Stars. And you can catch this on Netflix. I think it came out last year. It's not that old. But basically, if you need like a simple plot of what this is, it's kind of like if they took Zootopia and made it a more like serious anime type thing. But it's basically the main character. He's this wolf, and he is trying to like deal with the fact that in this world, there's kind of this like parallel to our world where there's these two different, I mean, there's a lot of different species, but there's like the herbivores and the carnivores. And the carnivores always have that like desire in their body to, like eat flesh and meat and stuff like that. But to be socially acceptable in like the world, they have to compensate by eating like eggs or like soybeans or stuff to kind of satiate that protein, so they get their protein, so they don't like lash out and essentially kill people. So that's pretty interesting. And I'm gonna be honest, the story is kind of basic. I keep thinking to myself, like, would I watch this if it wasn't about like all these like anthropomorphic, I hope I said that word right, like humanoid animal people?
Yeah, that's it. Anthropomorphic.
Yeah, and I'm like, would I watch this if it was just like normal people? And the answer is probably no, but I feel like that's why, like, that was the charm of it. Like, I thought the world was like interesting, and I wanted to see how they kind of take a look at it. And it's an anime, so this is all taking place in like this boarding high school type thing, but it takes a lot of like nice adult themes, kind of talking about what I mentioned with the carnivores. Like, there's a lot of like murders, and usually those are about like carnivores who like attacked an herbivore and essentially killed them and would eat them or something. They even kind of go into like darker areas with like pornography and stuff like that. So
interesting.
It was really cool. Yeah, I honestly really enjoyed it. It's a very quick grind, if you will. It's only like 12 episodes, but it's also like a very like sweet and kind of innocent anime, because like it's a lot about this main character who's like kind of just trying to essentially find love, because he's never experienced, like, he never had a girlfriend or anything like that, so he's kind of trying to like find his way, and it's all like kind of innocent. I mean, I kind of like spoil one of the things. I mean, it's in the first episode, but he does like attack this one like bunny student. He doesn't like kill her, but his instincts could have pushed him that far, and like the whole like season he's trying to like cope with it, and he also wants to just like apologize to her and be like, that was me, and like I feel awful about it. But yes, I don't want to give too much away. I will also say that it did the typical anime thing where it's like, oh, this is so good, I'm loving every second of it. I know I'm on the last episode and I'm gonna feel sad that I'm done with it now. And they're like, oh, see you in season 2, and it's like, that's how they get me. All right, I'm coming back. I really enjoyed this. It was good. And then last but not least, I'll talk about some video games I played. I don't really have too much to say here. I played more Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I've been kind of really enjoying playing that online. Just kind of a nice like way to refresh my skills, practice. They did an update to the online about like a month ago, or maybe it was in August or something, but it definitely improved the online. It does feel way better.
That's good.
And it's just good, like, having good practice against other players. Like, I'm trying to just essentially do that, like practice as much as I can, try to just keep going. I've had my fair shares of wins and a lot of losses, but I say this all the time. The only way you're going to improve is if you keep playing. You try to like figure out what you're doing wrong, or be able to like read your opponent more. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. I barely touched Call of Duty, honestly. Like, I played like 1 or 2 matches. I wasn't really feeling it this week. Also, I don't really think I played a lot of like, I might have played like 1 or 2 rounds of Fall Guys. Didn't really want to play that this week either. But anyways, what I sunk most of my time into was Legends of Runeterra. So last Wednesday, Legends of Runeterra actually had its big new expansion release, where they added like, I want to say like at least 70 or 80 new cards. They added like a whole new region to the game, which is kind of like Magic. Like, regions have their own specific cards and like champions and stuff like that. So that's really cool. It's been fun, like, messing around in their essentially like draft mode. I think they're called expeditions, where you kind of like, build your deck from random different chunks of cards. So I kind of went into that being like, oh, this is a great way for me to try to test out all the new different decks and cards they added, which it is. And it's been a lot of fun doing that. And then it's just been fun, like, seeing what I'm going to do with these new cards. I changed my, like, you can pick a specified region you want, and you kind of earn rewards based on how much experience you get. So you'll get like a random, like, essentially a booster pack, but it's just specifically for the region. Like, you'll get, you know, uncommons and commons of just that region in that box. So I've been trying to just grind out like the new region and get more cards for it. But yeah, that's been going really well. I don't really have too much to say other than it's a lot of fun. I like the changes they made. I think they might have toned some of the best decks down. They didn't really like nerf. They only nerfed like, I think, 1 or 2 cards. They actually just added a bunch of new stuff, which I also appreciate, that kind of balancing instead of just mass nerfing. Like, just add more stuff or make stuff better. But yeah, I've been really enjoying that. And that was my week. It was pretty short.
That's pretty cool. I was actually going to ask you about the card game, Legends of Runeterra, to see how that expansion came out, because I know it's always exciting for like when new cards are like for any card game, physical or computer based. Like, it's available. Then you just get to just try new stuff, you know, try new decks or whatever, new strategies. Yeah, it's always fun.
And I'll go a little bit more in depth with it, but they added like a lot of new mechanics to the game. So now they have. Oh, yeah. They have like daybreak cards, which are like, oh, if this is the first card played in the round, it gets a bonus. But if it's, you know, not, it doesn't get anything. And then there's also, I think they're called like, there's basically the opposite of that. Like, it's like Nightshade or Night Veil. And it's like, if this is the second card or like not the first card played, they always get a bonus. They added like this new type of, I don't know what you call it, mechanic, I guess, called Invoke. And essentially there's like 10 cards that you can only get by invoking. And you basically, when you invoke, you pick one of 3 of them. So it picks like 3 from the pool and it will show you them, and you pick one of them and add it to your hand. And we kind of talked about this before, but that's like one of the fun kind of mechanics you get from a online card game that it's like that wouldn't be possible in like a Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic or anything like that.
Yeah, like these games allow you just to generate random stuff to add to your hand.
Exactly. Know? Yeah, but I've been messing around with those like archetypes, and I think they're a lot of fun. Like I said, I've overall been. It was funny because like I honestly played like the day it came out, and I was like, "This is cool," but like I don't know, I'm not really like that interested in it. Like honestly, I think I might play something else. But then I don't know, like the second or third day after the expansion came out, like I got relatively hooked, and I'm like, okay, well now I want to get more of these cards. I want to try to make this deck and that deck. You know, it's fun. It's going well. It's a lot of fun.
Well, that's awesome, man.
How about you, Mike? What did you watch and play this past week?
I'll start with the watching part, because it'll be quick. So I think I maybe touched base last week when we were talking about like the last thing I was watching, which is Amanda got me into reality shows. So I've been watching this show called I'm still watching this show called Below Deck. I'm pretty sure did I mention this last week? Below Deck?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so just to kind of like summarize, this is a show about like the lives of the crew members who work on these private yachts, and I just can't stop watching it. I'm hooked. I don't know why. It's just I was never into reality shows, but yeah, me and Amanda watch that show at night now. That is I'm sure when I'm done here on the podcast, I might hang out with Amanda before I go to bed, and I'm sure we're gonna watch an episode of Below Deck. So just how it is. But I finally got around to watching Witcher. I know, like I mentioned how I was going to watch it, and I watched the first episode, but I was finally able to start sitting down this week and watching it in like my free time, and I did get up until episode 4 of I think only season 1 is available right now on Netflix, so I can binge watch all of season 1. But I'm up to episode 4, and I have to admit, the show is cool enough that it has my interest. Like, I want to see where this goes, but I will admit there are some parts of it where I just get so bored so quickly. Like, the very first episode, I promise I'm not to do any spoilers, but like the very first episode was like, oh, it started off pretty cool. Like, you get introduced to Geralt, the Witcher, you know, played by who was his name? The guy who plays Superman, Henry Cavill.
Cavill, yep.
Yeah, and I think he's doing a good job playing Geralt. And so they kind of just delve into explaining what the Witcher is. You know, he's a monster hunter. No one likes him because, you know, they're like they're scary people who just walk around among other humans, and it's like humans just don't like Geralt. They don't like Witchers, you know, because it's like, oh, like you're one of those monster hunters that could like easily kill everyone in the entire bar. So like, yeah, obviously no one likes you. They think you're like an outsider. But then they started introducing us to some characters, and I don't think they're really doing a great job. Maybe this is just me. I'm not trying to sound very cynical, because again, I'm still trying to get a handle on the show. But I actually was having a hard time even just understanding what they were saying. Like,
oh wow,
yeah, because like they all talk in like a weird little like British Cockney accent, like kind of like how these medieval style worlds always tend to sound. But like, I mean, even like Game of Thrones had people talking in this like British accent, but they were talking a lot more fluently. But some of these people again are talking more in like a Cockney accent, so it's like I really am just not picking up what they're saying. So I had to put on closed captioning, like the subtitles, which I actually don't mind doing. I kind of like doing that for shows. Amanda doesn't like it, so I turn it off when we watch shows together. But like, especially for those kind of shows, like science fiction shows, I always put the closed captioning on, because then I know exactly what they're saying, and it helps me better understand like the world and the story that's being portrayed. Because if I don't pick up on it, I'm not going to enjoy it. Because I have no idea who the characters are. I won't know their names. That's probably the biggest thing, is just knowing the closed captioning. Okay, like now I know what their name is. This is how it's spelled. This is how it's pronounced. So I pick up on names now.
That's great.
But anyways, yeah, but anyway, so that's why I was like, the show's not really like, making me a Witcher fan, but it has my interest enough to keep watching it. So I watched episode 1, and I'm like, and again, the way it ended made me seem like, okay, now I have no idea what's going on now, because I thought we were going off on this little adventure, and then it like immediately ends like in the very first episode. And I'm like, oh, okay, so now what? And then it goes to episode 2, and again, I'm not going to really spoil much, but in episode 2, we do get introduced to some new characters, and then there's like 2 storylines happening at the exact same time. But that's not a bad thing, because Game of Thrones had like I kind of compare to Game of Thrones a lot, but Game of Thrones had like 10 stories going on at once, but then you were able to follow them all. So this thing currently has 2 stories. And I'm like, okay, so we're obviously getting introduced to these characters that I'm sure Geralt's going to meet up with and interact at some point. And it became pretty apparent, at least so far in the very first 4 episodes, that every episode is going to be telling like its own little story. Kind of like it appears like you might not have to watch the show consecutively to at least watch an episode at a time, because it seems like every episode might like talk about one particular kind of monster, or like, oh, this little like each. It's like not like there's a term for this, how when TV shows go in like the way they're structured. We're like, but anyway, I don't want to delve too deep in this and get all like technical. But the point is, at least when it came to episode 3, it actually caught my interest again to like start watching it, because I'm like, okay, wow, like this actually is an interesting little. Well, the story again delves about a certain monster that Geralt has to kill, because he, as a Witcher, he just gets jobs by killing monsters. And because like the overall story is he has to meet somebody in the woods, like a girl in the woods. So while that's happening, he's going off and like fighting certain monsters. And the monster in the 3rd episode, I will admit, like you don't know what it looks like. He mentions how it's like a really like rare creature that people think are just myths. And again, in this world, monsters just exist. So like it's like if you hear about a werewolf, it's not like, what, they're not real. It's like, yeah, like werewolves are real. Like, that's just how it is. But this was like a creature that even to their standards is like, no, that's like a creature that we never hear about. Like that we thought that they were like made up. And towards the end of the episode, you finally see what this creature is, and my god, I have to give credit to the animators or the makeup artists. Like this creature was terrifying. I was like, my god, this might give me nightmares now. In case you guys
was like a practical, like they made a suit.
It reminded me of like the old Lord of the Rings. Because I love
cool.
There wasn't a lot. Like there was obviously CGI for Lord of the Rings and like the bigger scenes.
Yeah.
But Lord of the Rings, their makeup artists did a great job of making everyone actually wear makeup, so it looked a lot more real. And this thing, like besides like maybe some of the fight scenes, like man, this thing I think it was done with makeup, and it's very real looking, and it's terrifying looking. In case you guys want to look it up, I don't think this is much of a spoil, but if you guys want to look, the monster was called a Striga. I never heard of it. Maybe it's like a Witcher only monster. I think it's spelled Striga. And my God, this thing was like, this is the kind of thing that'll give me nightmares at night. So that at least got me thinking like, whoa, okay, this show got really cool really quick. And then episode 4 is the last episode I watched, and it got very boring very quickly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like now, and I'm confused because it dealt more with like, I thought it introduced us to new characters, and I'm like, wait, no, these are some of the characters from episode 1. So I'm thinking, oh. But I thought these characters all died, so that's why I'm thinking like, wait, so they're all just here, like, I'm thinking, are these not really these? Are these people pretending to be them, or is this like a flashback? Like, what is going on here? And I'm still confused. I might have to rewatch the episode because I think I clearly didn't pick up on something. So, unfortunately, I'm kind of left confused after watching episode 4. But again, the show at least has me intrigued enough to keep watching it. So. I'll have to give you guys an update next week when I watch a few more episodes.
All right.
Anyway. And then as far as what I've been playing, Corey and I did actually finish playing Metroid Zero Mission, and we do have all the episodes up on Level With Me on YouTube, so for all the Metroid fans out there who are listeners, you can go and watch the full playlist, and it's a 100% Let's Play of Metroid Zero Mission. Oh, and here's something funny, Corey. So, I actually received 99% because I knew I was missing a missile upgrade. So just to kind of just to announce this, I did put in the episode that I know where I had to edit, and I drew an arrow pointing where the missile is. I knew I walked right past it, and I'm so mad that I didn't think of it.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, remember when we went back to Kraid's lair for, like, one thing, and I was like, oh, look at this, I missed this one room, and I grabbed the missile. Well, there was another room, like, right above us that had a missile in it, I just totally forgot about it. So, that was the 1% that I was missing out of my 100% for the Let's Play. So, as long as I acknowledge it, it's still a 100% Let's Play.
Hey, I believe it.
Yeah. But it was really fun. I'm glad Corey was there to watch, and, I actually did a very small poll. We didn't get a lot of people voting. Just to say, what next game do you want me to Let's Play? And I think people did agree that, like, maybe not another Metroid game. We'll do something else. So I do want to play Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. That'll be the next one I do. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited for that one. I kind of was doing like some practicing for that game because I want to make sure I remember where all the hidden things are.
Ooh, okay. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's up. I mean, I love Metroid, but for the Super Nintendo, it was all about Super Mario World for me. That was like one of the games I played so many times. Anyway,
I'll save all my praises for the Let's Play.
And because I know that's a game you have played on your own, so it won't be too new for you. But I mean, maybe I might be able to show you like a trick here, a trick
you
here and there.
definitely will.
And now let's see. Oh yeah, so then. I did start a new Let's Play, and so I was playing that a little bit. I did start playing Sonic the Hedgehog CD, or as Corey was making fun of it, saying, "Oh, you mean Sonic the Hedgehog VHS or Sonic the Hedgehog DVD?"
No, Sonic the Hedgehog VHS was clearly the game before Sonic CD. Come on,
of course. And then I know I'm really looking forward to Sonic the Hedgehog Blu-ray. That's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, man. Sonic the Hedgehog 4K? Come on now.
Sonic the Hedgehog X Series X. Anyway.
Sonic the Hedgehog Tesla.
That's it. I was trying to think of a good suffix. That's a good one. Tesla. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so Sonic the Hedgehog CD is I'm still working on the game, and but so far this actually is the only classic Sonic game I haven't played myself, but I know a lot about the game. Like, I've listened to the soundtrack because I do enjoy the old video game music for the levels and everything, and I've watched people play it before, so I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the game, it being like my very first Let's Play, which is kind of fun because I die a few times in the Let's Play just because I'm stupid and I don't know what I'm doing in this game, but it's actually a lot of fun. I will admit though that just to kind of give everyone a bit of like a quick, you guys should go watch the episode 1, which is up. It has levels 1 and 2 on there, but the it basically is like any other standard classic Sonic game, but there is a cool little gimmick where if you just beat the game, you'll get the typical bad ending. So you beat the game, and I think there's nothing wrong with it, but you will get a bad ending. But what I'm shooting for is to try to get the good ending, which I actually screwed up in my last session of playing the game. So I'm gonna have to. I will admit I'm not getting the good ending. Screwed it up. Basically, in the game, there's time travel. You have to. There's two things you can do to get the good ending. You can actually get all 7 of what this game's Chaos Emeralds are, and to do that, you do the standard Sonic thing where you get 50 rings minimum. You beat the level, and then you can jump into the giant golden ring and then go play a bonus mission. If you beat all 7 bonus missions, you get what are called the time stones. If you get all 7, you can use the time stones to guarantee what is called a good future for every single stage. Because to get the good ending, you have to actually beat all of the levels and get a good future. And what that means is if you play every single level, there are past and future signs that you can touch, and you'll be able to then travel to the past or the future by running fast enough, and you'll see Sonic glow. And if you can keep that speed, you basically go 88 miles an hour and you time travel like the DeLorean in Back to the Future. And when you do that, you'll go to either the past or the future of that stage. And then the past is a bit easier because like it's supposed to be like primitive and like Robotnik hasn't really like done anything in this zone yet. If you go to the future, it'll be what's called the bad future of that zone. And so everything's like dark and desolate and like robotic because clearly Robotnik took over took over everything, or excuse me, Dr. Eggman for all the other Sonic people out there. I call him Robotnik, but usually the bad future is actually like it's a more difficult part of the stage. It's actually like a lot in my experience it has been more challenging. But if you go into the past of a stage, you'll find somewhere hidden in the stage is a robot generator, which is like creating robots to take over the zone. And so if you go into the past and destroy that robot generator, you will destroy all the robots in that zone and all the other zones of that stage. So the present and the future, all the bad guys will be destroyed, which makes it easier. And then the future will become the good future, which is bright and cheerful and there's no enemies, and then makes it a lot easier to beat. So it's quite tedious, but if you don't want to go and get the time stones, you can just go into every single stage, time travel to the past, and then destroy that machine and then complete the level. And that's what I was going for because I tried the special stages and they were so difficult. So maybe because I'm just bad at the game, but so that didn't work very well. But I was actually doing okay. I was actually I was doing my best not to cheat. So I was actually like going through the levels and finding the robot generators. But then in my last session, I went too far in the zone and the screen actually the screen movement stopped or something and I couldn't go backwards, and so I went past the goal sign and I didn't get the robot generator. So I'm like, oh my gosh, no, and I can't just go back and replay a stage. I have to just keep playing. So I said, crap, I just ruined it. Now I can't get a good future because I don't think there's enough stages for me to get all the time stones, because technically you need a minimum of 7 stages to get all 7 time stones. So, unfortunately, the Let's Play is not going to be a good future Let's Play. It's just going to be a standard one. But
so it's our reality, right?
Yeah, yeah. I should call it the 2020 future. That's what Sonic CD is. Like, hey, everybody, look, it's the year 2020. But because I couldn't get the robot generators or the time stones. But despite all that, the game actually is really fun so far. Just like the other Sonic games, I still don't think it's as good as Sonic. I will admit that I think I like it more than Sonic 2. Because Sonic 1's awesome. Sonic 2 was actually the very first Sonic game I ever played, and I loved it. And I think because it was bigger, there was more levels. But this game is basically on the same par as Sonic 2, in my opinion. But then I think the fact that they have all these gimmicks, I think that's what kind of like sets it apart. And the boss battles are actually really like unique. Like most Sonic boss battles with Dr. Robotnik, basically just revolve around you fighting him and hitting him 8 times, and his machine blows up. But in this game, majority of the boss battles so far, and someone told me this, like, so I knew ahead of time, but most of the boss battles are unique, and it's more about just getting to Dr. Robotnik, just like trying to get through like a puzzle or an obstacle to get to him, and then that's how you beat him. So like at least the boss battles are so unique, and I kind of appreciate that. So right now, I do say Sonic CD is better than Sonic 2, at least so far. But Sonic 3 is still my favorite of all the classics, and I think it's going to be hard to beat that one. So, but hey, I'm really enjoying Sonic CD. So all the Sonic fans out there that are listeners to level with me, please go watch it. I mean, I know it's actually one of the Sonic games that not many people have played because not everyone had a Sega CD, but so far it's a lot of fun, and I really recommend you guys playing it. Again, it's available on Steam. They did like a re-release in like 2011 or 2012, and that's the version I'm playing. So it's like it's been optimized and smoother physics and everything. So it's a lot of fun, and I think you guys should go play it. And if you don't have to get the good ending, I think, because after I screwed up and then I played the one stage by not looking for the robot generators, just playing the game, just playing the level as a Sonic game and just getting from the beginning to the end of the stage, the game is actually a lot more enjoyable. It's satisfying to go for the good ending, but I think I'm just going to play the game with just play it the way as it is, and just try to beat it. And I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. So
awesome.
Yeah, sorry. That was,
no, you're good.
Yeah, that was a bit of a long one, but yeah. So that's it.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear it, man. That's cool. I might have to check out some of those vids.
Yeah, man. You haven't watched... Oh, gosh. Can you believe this, people, that even Corey has not watched episode 1 yet?
Sorry, I was too sad about the Nintendo Direct Mini or whatever.
Fair enough. I'll give you that one.
There was a lot of tissues and ice cream.
Yeah. And meatball pizza. Only meatball pizza can dry these tears.
All right.
But yeah.
Moving on to the end of the podcast here, we'd like to read some questions that our lovely listeners, that's you guys, send us in. If you want to send an email to us, that's levelwithmepodcast@gmail.com. That's one way that you can send us a question. Or you can go to the Level With Me Podcast Instagram, and the day like before we're going to do the podcast, so like Monday during the afternoon or during the day, we'll post a little link, and if we read your question, we'll give you a shout out live on the podcast, and it'll be in the comments section of the description section of the podcast. So it just helps us all out. Mike, do we have any questions from the Instagram account?
Corey, I want to apologize because I totally forgot to put up the Instagram post to ask for questions. I'm so sorry. I dropped the ball.
So that is a no. We have no questions.
Don't say it like that, because it sounds like, well, it looks like Mike is a failure. He did not get a question.
Well, Mike, at least you put up some videos this week.
At least I did half of my job.
That's fine. That's fine.
I think that's still grounds for being terminated, so I'll just see myself out.
Hey, that just gives the listeners an extra week to come up with a better question or double questions.
Yeah, indeed. Next week, I promise to remember the post.
That's okay. Don't worry. But I just checked the Gmail as well, and that thing, nothing. So
I have a feeling that people probably are more likely. They'll probably DM us as opposed to sending us an email. So I can kind of understand why the Gmail is not always going to be full of questions. But
I get it.
If you guys do want to contact us, please don't forget that we do have levelwithmepodcast@gmail.com for your questions. Because we love to hear from you guys. We really do.
Look, guys, I listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot of other podcasts just use email accounts. I just went with what I know. I agree, though, that the DMs are much easier and quicker. But yes, send us a question wherever. And if it's appropriate or funny or we like it, we'll read it. But with that being said, that's going to conclude the Level With Me podcast for today. Guys, if you want to go check out any of my personal content, I am GameBro Corey. You can find me on Twitch, Instagram and Twitter at GameBroCorey. I don't know if I have any plans to stream, so I'm just gonna say just give me a follow. Just give me a follow. I have plans. I have plans to record some videos over at Loudstone Entertainment with Abra later this week, so that'll be fun. Yes. I don't know if I've plugged that in a while, but we were Let's playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. We will continue to do that, and I think we have some other things planned. So definitely go give them a subscribe and follow them. And like I said on the Twitch, we'll see. I'm very weird with games. Like I feel like I'm very spontaneous. Like I've been really itching to go. We're coming up on in the United States. We're gonna have a 3-day weekend. Well, hopefully most people do with Labor Day. I really want to complete Last of Us Part 2. I have been putting that off way too much. I feel like I am a little bit more than halfway, or maybe like 60%. I don't know, but that might be my goal for the weekend. As opposed to streaming, it could be Legends of Runeterra, Fall Guys, Warzone, Smash Ultimate, probably one of those games, I would say. But enough about me. Mike, do you got anything you want to plug / promote?
Sure. If you guys ever want to see any of my personal content, you can find me on YouTube and Instagram at The Collector's Vault. I mainly talk about, I do talk about video games, a lot of, old school collectible video games, retro stuff. But that, is mainly more going to be over here on level with me. But for the Collector's Vault, if you guys like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, basically sports cars, anything collectible, that's where I talk about that kind of stuff. I do cool little mail day videos where if I get in some stuff, I'll show it on the YouTube channel. I do some discussions about the current market, because surprisingly, even though we are in the worst year possible, 2020, there has been a resurgence in the collectible market, shockingly enough. So if you guys want to go hear more about that, please go see me on Instagram and YouTube at The Collector's Vault. And that's it for me.
So I'm going to do something a little different here. Usually now we just, say bye and maybe do a joke or two and see you next week. But there's actually something I forgot to talk about all the way at the beginning of the podcast about, me being depressed.
No.
So it wasn't just caused of nothing. There was a lot of, unfortunate events that happened to my girlfriend. She basically ran over, a screw in the road. You can't predict that. But, I love her so much that when bad things happen to her, it inherently makes me sad, too. Because I'm like, oh, I just want you to be happy, So that was one day. Then another day, I had to take her to work because she had to get new tires installed. And I mean, I'm not blaming her at all. I definitely don't want this to seem like that. Seriously, I'm not making a joke. But when I went to take her to work, I was like, oh, I have an hour to kill before I have to go into work. I'm going to come inside and get a coffee because she works at Starbucks. And wouldn't you know it, when I get out of the car, I not only leave my phone in my car, but my keys as they're locked in my door.
Oh, no, I didn't hear about this, Corey.
Yeah. So that was a whole issue. I ended up going into work a little bit later. Yeah, my car, I have a 2014 Nissan Rogue, and I was sure that thing would not lock if the keys are in there. Granted, I still have the keys where you have to put them in the ignition. I don't just have a smart key or whatever they're called now. So
yeah, fobs or whatever.
Yeah. So maybe that's why, because if they're in the ignition, yes, they don't lock. But I had my keys just on my passenger seat and my phone there, so that was fun. But everything worked out. We called a AAA guy. It was fine. And then Thursday. This is the main thing I wanted to talk about. So, not that I hate my job or anything at all, but I just feel like I might want to pursue another job. I don't think about, I'm not thinking about quitting doing the podcast or doing Twitch or any of that stuff. This is kind of a hobby right now. I'd love for it to be my career in the future, but right now it's just a hobby. And like I was saying, I don't hate my job, but I don't know. I feel like I was just trying to see what's out there. Maybe I could do something a little bit more creative or something I find more enjoyable. Maybe even earn a little bit more money. I don't know. So I was looking around and I saw this film and media editing group, and surprisingly enough, it had low criteria for being hired. A lot of jobs, generally require some sort of education, like college education, like a degree, or experience. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm like, maybe I have a chance at this one. So I haven't updated my resume in probably almost 4 or 5 years since I got my last job. So I'm like, okay, now I can update this. I can add all my experience I know from doing doing YouTube, doing Twitch, doing this podcast. Like I can add all this. Like I'm familiar with editing and stuff like that. And I made a really like passionate, good resume. And then for this job I even applied to, there was like a cover letter that you add to your resume. And I really made a very nice, like 2 to 3 paragraph long little story about like how I'm very passionate about this and why I think I'm fit for the job itself. And right after I hit submit, I don't know why, but I was just like, I couldn't like click on the link to go to like their website, like their main hub, like their media group. And I'm like, that's weird. And it wasn't like loading. So I do a quick little Goog of what it is. And it turns out that I guess I applied to some sort of like scam business. Like it's not a real business. And God forbid I know what they do with my data I sent them. I didn't send them any like billing information. Like I didn't give them my social security or anything like that. So don't everyone freak out immediately hearing this. Like I just literally gave them like my name, my address, my ID, my email, which could be worrisome, but yeah. And like I said, I even Googled and saw that this was a scam, and there were like other people who were telling me like, or who were saying that they can't find any evidence of the business. And that like just destroyed me, because not only was I sad that like I poured my heart and soul into this like cover letter because I was actually very passionate about it, but I was just like so upset that I would never personally have thought that someone out there would be so malicious to do like a scam in a job application. Like that's crazy. That blew my mind. I might sound like a boomer to some people, that I would never think that would be a scam, but just like that discovery like really upset me. And I was like, I can't believe in like stuff like this. People are like, how low do you got to be to do something like that? But yeah, that really upset me. And I wouldn't lie if I'd say I'm starting to worry again about all that information I gave them.
Well, Corey, let me just, if you don't mind me jumping in, let me just say that, yeah, it is a thing. People will do that to steal your information. Now, again, you didn't give them anything critical. Like, that's the important thing. You didn't give them, like, your social security number. But, like, they just want your email and your phone number so that way they can call you and they'll email you. That's all it's really going to be. But be cautious. I would check your email account, like your personal one, and make sure that you don't get any of those, like, annoying emails that are like, oh, thank you for applying for this weird website and stuff, or this account. Like, that might happen.
And
that might just be like the bare minimum of them saying, cool, I have an email just to apply for, and then like you might get those like confirmation emails, and hopefully that's the worst of it. So I'm not trying to scare you, just be cautious of that, okay?
And to just wrap the whole podcast and this story up with a nice bow, I also got a letter today from them saying, hey, we really appreciated your application, but unfortunately we're going to have to turn you down. So I'm like, okay, well, why did I even apply? Is that just what you send to everyone?
I'm pretty sure they do, just to make it appear authentic.
Because they even did send me an email back once I applied, like, hey, we got your, and I was already like panicking and like telling my girlfriend, and they're like, oh, we got your application, and like we were even talking. I'm like, oh, thanks, I didn't get your scam job or anything like that. I even was joking with my girlfriend. I'm like, I should have sent him another email and be like, hey, can I just be a part of your scam? Like, I don't care. I'll scam people and make money.
Don't do that. But don't stoop to their level.
I agree.
If there's one thing, can I just please end this podcast off on a positive note?
Oh, please, yes.
Yeah. So I think it's awesome that you have a drive to want to look for a job in that field. And the fact that you did revise your resume, and the fact that you did write a passionate cover letter, that's great. Use that for another job application.
I saved all that stuff too.
Yeah, especially the cover letter. You can use that as like a template, and then just like maybe like adjust it here and there to match the place that you're applying to. So Corey, I'm gonna say, yeah, man, go for it. If you think the job you have right now is getting stale and stagnant, there's no harm in looking around for something better, especially if it's something that you might be passionate about, something you want to do. So if you want to do like you said, maybe something with like media and editing, dude, I promise you, go for it. And this goes out to everybody, all the listeners who ever feel that they're just settling with like a stale and stagnant job. Like, I know it's tough out there right now. I'm not. So that being said, don't quit your job and then go look for a new job. But by all means, look around. Go on Indeed. Go on Monster. Apply. Like, you should never ever settle for anything in life, especially your career. So Corey, I'm gonna wish you all the best of luck. And if you do need any help, please let me know. I have contacts in like the recruitment fields. I can always ask them around if they are aware of any like media editing jobs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, please forward me your information, and I will gladly share it wherever I can.
Oh, well, thank you, Mike. You brought a smile to my face, and I do agree. That was some good posy vibes. I like it. I like it. That's a good way to end the podcast. Guys, thank you for listening to the Level With Me podcast again this week. Please check out all the things we mentioned before in the description. You know, there'll be all my links to my social media and my Twitch and all the links to like Mike's stuff and my friends over at Loudstone Entertainment. All that stuff's in the description. Thank you, guys. See you next week.
Charlie, nobody washes the dishes. We eat food off the table, and you know it.
Frank, I just licked the cat food out of the can. I just use my hands sometime.
D, there's nothing more threatening than a man to... I screwed it up. Forget it. We're ending the podcast. I just ruined the whole bit.
Frank, where'd you go? Who are you? Where's my buddy? God, what is my worst impression? That I hope one day in Level With Me podcast where we have like, you know, we've been doing this for like 5 years. Maybe we'll have a fan make like the top 10 worst Corey impressions. I would love that. I would love that.